That was a test donation. Okay. We're up and at 'em. Systems online. I'm just a rebound. Yo. Novocaine. Caught me in the middle of another Netflix documentary. What were you watching this time? Sins of Our Mother. You're crying. Perfect timing. I knew it. Planned it. Got it. Favorite album from Ice Cube? Honestly, I have no idea. I do like Ice Cube a lot. He was definitely one of my favorite members from NWA as far as like his sound goes, but I can't. What's the one song? It's like but, you know, today was a good day, as always. What's that one? Is that what it's called? Today was a good day. I didn't even have to use my AK. I was like, wow, Ice Cube's making songs for Al-Qaeda. That's interesting. He has a crime show? Wait, Ice Cube has a crime show? Or maybe you're thinking of Ice-T. What's the one, that comedian Delaney or whatever? Like, he always says Ice-T comes in with, like, expositional dialogue to, like, over excessively explain, like, what sexual assault is. And he's like, so you're telling me that people can use their bodies to commit sexual crimes and acts against one another? They're like, yeah, that's literally what the SVU is, and you're a part of it. I would hope you would know that. Yeah, John Mulaney is funny. I think he's married to Olivia Munn. Remember that one time Aaron Rodgers, I think it was on his Instagram or his Twitter, but he posted a picture of, like, winning the Super Bowl, and, like, Olivia Munn was giving him a blowjob. Those were the good old days. Back before Walk. Back before Walk ruined everything. Wasn't there drama with him and his ex-wife? I don't know, dude. There's drama all over Earth. The Earth drama situation is crazy. Plays a new Silent Hill 2. No, but, you know, I've seen gameplay, and it doesn't look too good, to be honest. Like, the graphics are decent, but the gameplay itself looks kind of sloppy. Which, I mentioned that a couple streams ago, people were upset. Do I like Sewer Slut? Yeah, I love Sewer Slut. It's like one of my, as far as like the drum and bass stuff goes. Oh, man, at one point, Sewer Slut uses a sample from Moral Oral that just like fucking goes so hard. over and over and over and over and over and over and over. No, you don't. It's just, I don't know. I need to watch that show. I heard it's a pretty good show. Why don't I stream video games? I should, honestly. I just, it's kind of just like killing two birds with one stone, coming in here and streaming stories that are going to be in the content. Favorite holiday? I think it has to be Thanksgiving, honestly. Christmas is cool, but it's like, I don't know. You know how you got like two sides of grandparents sometimes? Well, it's nice to just kind of like be like, yeah, we're going here, or, if you're going to an in-law situation, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's got their thing, and you can just go to that meal, do the meal, and be done. With Christmas, it's like, oh, you gotta fucking make your rounds to 50 different family members. Yo, Colin, holy shit. 59 months. Almost 5 years. Thanks for helping me through everything. Tomorrow I get to celebrate my daughter's first birthday. Congratulations. Congratulations, Colin. That's amazing. 5 years. 60 months as a member. Thank you so much, Colin. That is literally baffling to me. I can't believe that. I think you might be the longest member. I need to make like a new emote for 5 years, if they even allows me. Hootie! Welcome back for 34, says hear me out. SGH, also you are wonderful. What's SGH? Is that more DMB music, or? I'd legit watch your video game streams or content, I swear. Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, I'd be down to stream like indie horror games, because I think they would just be silly and fun, and wouldn't have to like concentrate too hard, because even though I am kind of a hard sweat when it comes to competitive games, I also am not very good. I'm like middle of the road on like almost all competitive games. Like, no matter how much time I play it or watch it, I'm always just like just above average. How often you stream? So I stream every Sunday and Wednesday night, which coincides with the day before uploads. Please do video games. I will absolutely consider it. If I'm real bored and depressed on a Saturday night, maybe I'll throw one on and see what I can do. First time here, just started listening to videos and streams like 3 weeks ago. Work, love them. Thank you. Someone commented on my last stream VOD and said, moronic, period. Which, it's fair. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But if you have a negative opinion, I want to hear why, though, because then it's not like I'm going to argue with you in the comments, but I do like to hear if it's like something worth criticizing, so I can be like, okay. L Whale with the $4.99 pooch marks. I'm not sure what that are those pence. Thoughts about those low effort AI slop channels that narrate horror stories? Hate them so much, but I still love your channels and voice and stories so much. Yeah, it's like we're going into the realm of AI, and I guess at the end of the day, it's like there's really nothing better than like a nice human touch. And honestly, in the next like 20 years, if AI and robotics continue to get to where we get, and we get robussy and all that kind of stuff, you might have a generation of people who are don't even know the warmth of a woman's touch, or you know what I mean, of like a significant other, which would be a really sad situation for society. Who knows? Maybe we'll be like Dune and just like ban AI. But thank you, Whale, so much. Appreciate you. Robussy. Yeah, it's coming, Liz. You just wait. It is around the corner. I got my pre-order in. I can't wait to never have any meaningful relationships with a human. What a fantastic reality we exist in. Starting an ASMR channel again. I've thought about it, but You kind of have to be creative on there. I don't even know what my ideas would be anymore. Come up with, yeah, I just sit there and lick the ears of the mic. Honestly, ever since Amaranth got banned, ever since the death of God, there's been a vacancy. Bassist EST2022 with the 5 says, been a while since I've gotten to tune in. So glad I got a moment and get to listen again. Good to have you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. Infinite Goon Time, yeah. That episode of Rick and Morty where he's having sex with the sex bots or whatever, and it's just so funny. Like, comes down and like pulls his whitey tighties up, and it's like whoosh, whenever they like slam on his tuchus, and then he goes down and just like chugs a bunch of orange juice with infinite confidence, and it's like, see, that's what we need. No one would even go to war, probably. They're all just too busy with their goon machines. Hey, Nick the movie guy, good to see you. What movies you been watching lately? Joel and Amaranth era. Yeah, we're getting there. I gotta get my tig old biddies going. My hot tub. What's up, Jess? Nut clarity is a real thing. Yeah, it's too real. Real AF. When 2 tribes go to war, ... They were just really, really horny. Weird hearing me talk normally. Yeah. Don't worry. You'll get used to it. And then another 3 minutes or so, we will get into these stories, switch up the atmosphere. Anybody new here, I read scary stories. I'll be recording them, so it'll be a lot of like mistakes. And then we'll go up on YouTube, nice and edited later. What about making more YouTube shorts? I don't know. I mean, I thought about that. I'm like, there are some YouTube channels I found through their shorts. And YouTube themselves has clarified to me that that shorts operate on a separate algorithm, so it wouldn't affect my views from my normal channel. But there's just like a part of me that feels like, I don't know, that it just might not work out that way. Yeah, I don't know. I see some channels that are really popular. I go to their shorts and they don't even post shorts. And I just don't even know if it's worth my time, to be honest with you. Even though I think like some of my short content could translate to that or bring in viewers, but I don't know. Yeah, reaction videos. We do some silly reactions. I don't know if we'd be able to keep up with how much fucking content farming some reaction channels do. It's insane. You'll definitely be sending me to bed tonight. Happy recording. Thank you, John. Good to see you. Let's read commentary. Yeah, start like a channel where it's just straight reactions. The Let's Read reaction channel situation is insane. The Let's Read diarrhea into a toilet situation is insane. Okay, never mind. It's not insane. I'm done. 7-Leaf Clover, welcome back for 19 months. Says, boo! I gotta go to sleep. I have to show up to work an hour early tomorrow. So 6 a.m. wake up time. Well, good luck, my friend. That does not sound fun. But thank you for being here. Thank you for stopping by. And thank you for 19 months. Anybody who hasn't had a chance to check out the new bonus content, please do that. Please do. I thought I wasn't going to go live. Yeah, I've been a little bit later lately. And sometimes I'll be like right in front of my computer, but just like staring at my phone for a half hour straight for no reason other than just getting lost in the shorts loop. I know a guy who games the algorithm by doing gaming streams in vertical formats, so they got recommended in the short section. Oh, okay. How did their channel end up performing? I think YouTube is actually about to implement live streams via the vertical, like shorts verticals, kind of like Instagram Live. So that'll be cool. I mean, I don't know why I would do that, but it would be kind of nice if like they, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Listen for years now. In my head, I picture you like the guy from Man vs. Food. Let's take a peek. Man versus Food. Oh my god, wait. Isn't this like a famous comedian or something like that? I haven't seen this guy's face in so long. He's like evil Guy Fieri. Not quite like him at all, but I certainly probably can eat as much as him. Pics of those grippers. Those grippers. I got like praying mantis hands. Not Jackie Chan, welcome back for 9 months. Should have one with 2 channels gaming. Oh, that'd be, yeah. No, not anymore. It's just not really, more of a headache to police everybody and make sure they're not insane, so a lot more fun just to do these. Someone mentioned they posted feet pic. Well, thank God. Alright guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for chilling. We're gonna kick this off. What do I think of As a Man Gold? I see a lot of his stuff pop up. He really farms the reaction content. And I saw he got banned talking about the... Well, he got banned for 14 days talking about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, which I think I've kind of talked about that before, where I'm definitely, I don't know, there's been this like weird type of conversation where it's like you can't criticize the military apparatus of Israel without being called, you know, people call you anti-Semitic, and it's like, listen, bro, like the military industrial complex that, you know, and the interactions and military actions of Israel have nothing to do with Johnny down the street at the synagogue, you know what I mean? Like, and to conflate the two is just a linguistics game to like obfuscate any sort of criticism towards, you know what I mean? Because it's like whenever the United States was like destabilizing almost like every aspect of the Middle East and like North Africa, you know, if you criticize that war machine, what did they call you back like post 9/11, like unpatriotic or un-American, or I mean, it never was like something insane, like a threat to, like they never called you like you're racist to America, but you know what I mean? Like it just, everything's just, once again, just a constant ongoing linguistics game. People's communication skills are next to nothing. Mine are bad too. I'm not educated on most situations, but I think, you know, if you're someone who sits there and says that war is bad, then to me that's a valid argument. Like, war is bad, so why do sometimes like we support certain military action from certain governments, and then other times we don't, you know what I mean? It just seems like a really abstract, like how do you even decide who's the good guy in situations like that? Especially if like the government entities or government talking heads of like the media tell you how to think. It's kind of frustrating, like being constantly like bombarded with information on how to think in a fucking conflict when, you know, someone's family just got blown up in a hospital. You know what I mean? It's just, it's weird. And it's also weird that you know, you're like not allowed, you're like allowed to have an opinion, but you're not allowed to have an opinion, and you know, but if we can agree that war is bad, then I would like to imagine that our government would hear us eventually, or at least tiptoe around the subject a little bit. But honestly, most of the time it doesn't really seem like any of our criticisms of war ever get heard. They just move to a different conflict somewhere else and then change up the narrative, and you know, it's the flavor of the fucking week again, and we just move on, you know. I mean, and anybody who says that there's somehow like savvy to the game or whatever clearly isn't paying attention. I don't have any solutions, but it's what the fuck you gonna do? But I certainly don't think you should argue amidst your own population about concepts like that. I think it's important to just have discussions like level-headed people and not demonize each other, and because essentially you're just taking the demon that you're observing on a global scale and placing that into an individual that has nothing to do with it, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, I get some people have a take you disagree with, but then to like conflate their disagreements to something that's wild and you know, they're the same as the oppressors or whatever, it's mental. It's insane mental gymnastics. Anyways, I'm rambling on about nothing. About to play Cult of the Lamb. See, that's one I need to... Yeah, there's Cult of the Lamb, and then there's like sort of a point-and-click game where it's about... I think it's like the 1800s, and it's in the UK, and it has to do with... Basically, they have to prove that the paranormal world exists within a period of time. Otherwise, the paranormal aspect of the academia within that school gets shut down. So it looks like a really interesting story. It's like an indie game. It's like pixel art indie game. I forget what it's called, but it looks pretty good. The hot type guy's looking relaxed. He is. That thing is just filled with piss. How many stories tonight? Yeah, we have 4 stories. I'm not sure of the words. Probably a typical length. 7 to 10,000 ish. And David, thank you for the 2. All right, let's kick it. I work in law enforcement, and this is how I like to wind down after a long day. Awesome, yeah, I hope you're staying safe out there. Always calling backup in situations. Don't get hurt. And thank you for serving your community. Appreciate you. My name is Hannah, and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm a second-generation Bosnian American. My parents came here separately in the early 90s, and then after meeting in a Bosnian restaurant on Union Road, they started dating and eventually got married. Fuck, what the hell was that? Some type of demon. Paranormal world does exist. It just came out of my throat. What's up, Aaron? Caught you live. Thank you for what you do. You're welcome, my friend. Thank you. That was a bit of a jump scare, wasn't it? It was a sneeze, yeah. Favorite Halloween movie? Probably Gremlins. I know that's Christmas. I was born in October of 1996, and apparently my parents were both very happy during that first year of my life, but the very hazy memories I have of my father from that time are the only ones I have of him. That's if they're not just false memories, planted there after hearing 100,000 anecdotes about him being such a wonderful person and a perfect father during my first year of life. But then I suppose you're wondering how a man who walked out on my mother and I is remembered so affectionately. So affectionately, in fact, that some people still call him a hero. Well, if you're sitting comfortably, I'll begin. My father grew up in a small Bosnian village called Obadi. Let me make sure I'm saying that right. Probably Obadi. Let's see. ChatGPT is always good with this. How to say from Bosnia. Obadi, yeah. Alright, there you go. We guessed right. My father grew up in a small Bosnian village called Obadi, which at the time was part of the now defunct nation of Yugoslavia. From what my mom's told me, it must have been a pretty beautiful place to grow up. It's nestled up in the mountains, surrounded by forests for hunting and streams for fishing, and for almost 2 generations following World War II, there was a long and uninterrupted peace in the region. But then, and I'm ready to skip over a lot of the history here, war came. And when it came, it was very bad. And because it was based along ethnic lines, the Yugoslav Civil War was this real depressing neighbor versus neighbor kind of war. It was so bloody that the war sparked a number of smaller, more localized incidents of conflict, which included the Bosnian Civil War. And it's during this war that my dad escaped Bosnia. Mom and her side of the family left a little earlier, so while they had to suffer through some of the war's earlier stages, they thankfully escaped before the war in Bosnia kicked off. My dad, on the other hand, stayed in Obadi to protect his family, even when other Bosnian families were fleeing to Europe, the UK, or America. And this was because, at first, he didn't think that they had anything to worry about. Without getting into too much detail, and please don't crucify me in the comments for oversimplifying this, the factions in the Bosnian Civil War were as follows. The Serbs were... Wait, didn't it say he left and then it said he stayed? Oh wait, sorry, am I dumb? Mom and her family said the family left a little... Oh, they left earlier, okay. My father grew up in a small business which was part of the defining... Okay, it doesn't matter, okay. Notifications lacking recently. Yeah, I don't really get the I think the notification systems for streams still operate on the same sort of metric that YouTube videos do, so sometimes you don't get notified till like way later, because I kind of see the same number of people trickle in as I would like a YouTube video, which is not so good. You got permanently banned off of Reddit. How to fix? I guess you just make a new Reddit account. I don't know. Reddit's insane. You can't fucking think anything different in any of the communities, or you're a evil no-do-gooder. How do you get banned on Reddit? I don't know. You just disagree with anybody on their very stringent, dogmatic politics. If you're not part of their little cult of thinking, then you just are poophead and bad and need to be killed. I kill you in the name of morality. That's what I do. I like to censor people, and that's how we know that only the good thinkers get to say stuff. The Serbs were the minority, while the Bosnians and the Croats, make sure I'm saying Croats maybe? Probably Croats or Croatia, I guess. Croats, oh, okay. Or Croats. Come on, man. It's correct. Croats. Only Reddit worth visiting is r/Alzheimer's group. It's about Garfield. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. ChatGDP seems to say Croats, but you think it would be Croats, kind of like Croatians. Man. Croats. Let me just check her. change my live schedule doesn't work with your school schedule. What is your school schedule? Sorry, man. Listen to this guy.
Representing the historical regions of Croatia. The first one is for Croatia proper with a crescent and a 6-pointed star. Dubrovnik with 2 red stripes on a country specifically in the Slavic world, using the word Hrvatska referring to this country instead of Croatia to a lesser extent. It's kind of like that whole thing with Germany.
Visa in Deutschland.
Oh, you mean Germany?
Whatever. I'm just gonna go with what ChatGPT says, because Croats. Whatever. What can you do? Read the story. Thank you for telling me that. That's not what I was trying to do at all. When you Google about Alzheimer's, you realize all the links were already clicked. Yeah. I go, shit. The Serbs were the minority, while the Bosnians and the... Yeah. Come on. Come on. Come on, man. Do exactly what I want all the time, please. The Serbs were the minority, while the Bosnians and the Croats formed the majority, and at first, the Bosnians and the Croats were on the same side, so it looked like they were going to win. But then the Bosnian Serbs started getting backing from their much stronger motherland, Serbia, which really turned the tides of the battle and prolonged the war. And so my dad and his family went from feeling safe up in the mountains to having Serb forces getting closer and closer each day. The men of the village formed a kind of militia and held the line as long as they could before they were forced back into the village. But by that time, they had managed to evacuate all their vulnerable family members, so by the time the Serbs surrounded Obadi. Mike and Ike, welcome back for 3 months. So what's up, Joel? How many more stories you got? Yeah, just getting started here. We got 4 in total. Yeah, Angela, I'm trying to record the stories, so there's going to be a lot of starting and stopping. If you're trying to fall asleep, it's probably best to go watch a normal video. But by that time, they'd managed to evacuate all their vulnerable family members. So by the time the Serbs surrounded Obadi, the fight was to keep them from burning it to the ground. And Mom said, the way Dad told the story, there had always been so much hope around Obadi. Hope they'd be able to hold off the Serbs until NATO committed to driving them back. But as the Serbs surrounded the village and their snipers began picking off the Bosnian militia one by one, my dad and his friends realized that they were doomed. And even worse, their families were in danger too. You see, believing they'd be able to hold off the Serbs long enough, the men of Obadi had told their women and children to wait in a neighboring village, and unless they warned them of the imminent attack, they too would be surrounded, captured, and quite possibly massacred. The militia had no choice but to try their best to break through the encirclement, but given how outnumbered and outgunned they were, that was considered to be the option that wouldn't end well. But then, one very early morning, in absolute desperation, my dad went out into the woods and tried to find a way through the Serb lines. And incredibly, he found one. The Serbs had neglected to properly guard an open field, which lay just on the other side of some trees and on the eastern side of Obadi. And presumably they believed that my dad and his buddies weren't dumb enough to try to run through an open field, especially not if they had snipers in the surrounding hills. But their assumption had left the Bosnian militia with a golden opportunity for escape, at which point they could just circle around the Serbian lines and then rescue their families for a second time. My dad's fellow militiamen asked if he was certain the way was clear. Oops. If you tell me how many times you've stabbed the wall. Stab the wall? What does that mean? Who's stabbing a wall? Ogres have layers like an onion. My dad's fellow militiamen asked if he was certain the way was clear, and when he told them yes, they moved out as quietly as they could and made it to the clearing just as the sun was rising ahead of them. They started running through the clearing, through the gap in the Serbian lines, and they're running and running without any shots coming their way. And they're yelling at my dad that you're a goddamn genius. You saved us. And then just as they're all nicely grouped in the center of that clearing, the Serbs opened fire, and my dad said that they didn't have a chance. All they could do was run or lay low, but all the same men were shot, cut down by machine guns, or picked off by the Serb snipers. All my dad said that he could do was run and just pray a Serb bullet didn't find its way to him. And by some miracle, my dad made it to the tree line, escaped the Serbs, and then managed to circle around the back of them when they swept in to finish off the wounded Bosnians and burn Obadi to the ground. While the Serbs were burning and looting, Dad managed to get to the village where all the families were staying and warned them that if they didn't flee, they'd be next. And having seen that his comrades were slaughtered, my dad decided that he was getting out of Bosnia, and after that, he didn't rest until he, his mom, and his aunt were on a plane to the United States, where they'd eventually settle in St. Louis. Obviously, my grandma, God rest her soul, wouldn't shut up about how heroic my dad was, how he'd personally led a near Did you guys know that there's a Shrek Swamp R&B hosted by Donkey? Donkey. I know, 'cause I live there. I'm just stopping by to leave a like. Now I'm going to go listen to playlists, your stories, and call it a night. Much love from Wyoming. Thank you. How's Wyoming? Hey, babes. Thank you for the 5 gifters. I was actually just about to do that because I realized when I make a mistake, I gotta do a bit of gifting. But thank you so much, babes. To Evan Murphy, Sonia Gonzalez, Code Fairy, Krazo Dam, and Stitch23. Welcome, friends. You now have access to bonus content. Be sure to thank babes for that one. Doot, 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 doot. Doot, 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 doot. Doot, 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 doot. Would you rather Chick-fil-A fries or Arby's fries? I do remember Arby's fries, the curly fries. But I don't remember Chick-fil-A fries. Those are kind of like waffle fries, aren't they? Yeah, I did figure out the gifting. Started to work again. And thank you, Let's Read. Welcome Maddie Kitty Artworks, Shelby, Azzy, Vic, and Jorge Gitz. What is the bonus content? It's basically just like creepypastas and random other stuff that you wouldn't otherwise hear on the channel. So there's some cool content on there. I think we got like 25 videos now. Yeah, no, it's not OnlyFans. That would be hilarious. I imagine there will come a day when YouTube is very hungry for money, where they're like, all right, fuck it. We're going to do YouTube Dark. YouTube Dark. Does my family have dark secrets? Probably, dude. Who fucking knows? Bunch of goofballs. No, I'm just kidding. Who knows? Maybe Google already owns OnlyFans or something secretly. We don't even realize it. The groovy fries at Sonic. I don't think I've ever been to a Sonic, honestly. Maybe once. Old shows are on YouTube. That's YouTube After Dark. Yeah. Oh my god. That's actually, I don't know. Sometimes you get curious about like OnlyFans and you're like, if I did post pictures of my feet wearing socks covered in butter. How many absolute freakazoids would pay good money for that? The man in the yellow hat with the fives. Why are you streaming so late? You're going to mess up your sleep schedule. My sleep schedule's been fucked. Not much I can... Well, there is much I can do, but I'm making next to zero efforts to do it. But thank you so much for the 5. It was kind of weird, though. Like, I don't ever really, like, play a lot of games in my living room. I tend to just do it on my computer because that's the battle station. But I finally got the Zelda, what's the Zelda, fucking Breath of the Wild on the Switch, and it's pretty fun actually. The controls are kind of wonky, but it's actually pretty fun, and the combat's actually kind of satisfying sometimes. Just like getting knocked around ragdoll, which is, and there's like different creative options and stuff, but. Yeah, so I was like gaming, and I didn't realize what time it was. It was like sometime between like 3 in the morning and between 3 and 4, right? And so like I have this one AC system. It's like a little thing that you interact with, I guess thermostat, whatever. And I have like a card on there that like the people, it just was left there from previous in case they need to contact somebody to like fix something. And like and that's been like secured in there since I've like lived here. And then all of a sudden that card just like gets like flicked. It was very strange. It was like that card just like gets like launched and like falls like further down in down the hallway. And I have no idea how it like came dislodged or whatever, but I was like, that's kind of weird, because I heard it and it sounded like something got thrown. And I was like, okay, that's odd. And then, I'm sitting there with Pradeep. He's like right next to me on the couch. And then all of a sudden I hear like almost like a footstep, or not like necessarily a footstep, but like a moving of like flooring, like hardwood floor, like something's being stepped, like, and like, and even Pradeep like jumped. He was the first one that he actually reacted worse than me, where he like jumped and was like, what the fuck was that? Because it very much kind of like had the sound of somebody like starting to walk, down the hall. And then I really didn't think anything of that at the time either, or even look at the time, because I feel like I would have been like way more scared if I actually looked at what time it was, because sometimes I just get that really strange feeling being woken up at exactly fucking 3 a.m. It's so fucking annoying, dude. That's why sometimes I almost like don't want to sleep normal, because it's like 100% all the time, 3 fucking a.m. every time I'm like a normal sleep schedule, which maybe there's a reason for that, but it just seems very peculiar. And then there's like the steps, right? And I heard something at the bottom or whatever like move, like creaking, like something stepping on the steps. And I was like, okay, that's fucking weird. And then I look at the clock and it was like and I actually thought it said exactly 3 a.m. And I was like, oh fuck. But then I looked at it and it said 4 a.m. And I was like, oh, see, you missed your window. Sorry, bro. Not allowed to haunt anybody anymore. But you get 1 hour to be as scary as possible. And beyond that, you have no power here. Bassist, thank you for the 2. Says, I have to skedaddle for now. Hope to join back soon. Yeah, I'd love to have you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the 2 and support. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good night. Always look at the clock at 3:33. Yeah, exactly. It's just weird shit like that. Maybe it's just self-fulfilling prophecy type stuff, but I don't know. Just weird stuff. And it's strange too, because sometimes I feel like, I guess like people's experiences with poltergeist or ghost stuff tend to be, it's like always subtle. Like someone's ghost story has a little bit more credence when their ghost story is like way more subtle. Same with like when we watch like ghost footage on the channel. It's like the subtle stuff is the creepiest and most authentic stuff, God, I genuinely don't think I could like mentally handle if things like went off the fucking rails. Like whenever like all the people come out, they don't hear anything, and all the cabinets are just like open, and it's like, what the fuck? Or like, water, like their water gets turned on, or what I mean? Just random shit like that. Peter, thank you for the 1. Gifter, 2. Heavy Metal Crone. Thank you, Peter. Tears of the Kingdom is like a gift from the gods that humanity isn't really worthy enough to play, but like an angel snuck it in for us. It is nice. I feel like some of the best video games have come out of like Nintendo and Japan as of recently. There's really not a lot of, like, and it's weird because I used to like love games from America, you know, all the time, but it just seems like they are getting less and less gooder. The accident I told you about who died almost back in July, and they put a warrant out for him on a DUI causing his accident. Okay. My legs hurt so bad I couldn't sleep if I wanted to. Oh man, I'm sorry. Your membership ran out. Can anyone give me a membership? It's random. I do hope that maybe YouTube ads where you can like specifically give people, because honestly I would do that. It'd be even fun to do like a little, if there was like a raffle system within those who are in attendance. Hey Carolyn, how you doing? Do you go to Halloween costume parties? Yeah, if I get invited to stuff, I'll definitely go. It's a good time. Hey Lucy, thank you. Here every Sunday and Wednesday. Well, yeah, if there's ever random giftings, you might get one. You never know. Who needs a sleep prescription when we have you? I've been curious about that, if it actually does work, because some people have said they were on like medication for years and they listened to me and it actually worked, like they would fall asleep. And my one friend was telling me about how like he sort of, unfortunately, and not even, I think I mentioned this last time, but basically got addicted to Ativan, which is an apparently very addictive benzodiazepine that like when you're not on it, you go through bad withdrawal symptoms and can't sleep and feel like hell all the time. And I made a joke and was like, you probably just need to listen to Let's Read. And there's a curiosity in me is like, I wonder if some type of, you know, ASMR styles thing would actually help him get more than an hour's of sleep a night, you know. Because you can imagine if you're only getting like an hour, like if suddenly you got like 4 hours out of nowhere, you would feel completely rejuvenated. You thought you could choose who was gifted? No, it's just random. And Kitchen Switch, thank you for the 10 subs. I've been going 6 years listening to you narrate. Really appreciate your hard work and production quality, Joel. Keep it up, go. Thank you, Kitchen Switch. Appreciate you. It's a long time. We're gonna keep riding it till the wheels fall off. ASMR aquariums. That does sound nice. I used to love aquariums. I've always kind of like, you know how like in some aquarium places they have like little cave rooms you can go into and just look at the stuff in like a darker light. I always thought it'd be amazing to like just randomly have like a bedroom with next to one that you could just like sleep and stare at. How he'd personally led a near unwinnable charge against the Serbs in order to come to the aid of his family and other civilians. She also talked about how he was the only survivor of his militia unit and that God must have blessed him something special for him to walk away from a bloodbath like the kind he experienced. Mom said that Dad never liked her talking like that, so she'd never do it around him, but Mom always figured that's because he had a kind of stereotypical survivor's guilt. You know, the way the heroes never consider themselves heroes, that old shtick. But around 18 months into their marriage, just before I turned 1 year old, they had a massive, catastrophic fight, in which my father revealed the truth of what happened that day. Mom told me that Dad would sink into deep depressions that would sometimes last for a week at a time. He'd drink heavily, stay away from the house for days on end, and by the time I was 1, my mom was sick to death of it. She told me no more drinking, no more staying out with the other Bosnian guys until all hours of the morning, and that if he wanted her to stay, he was going to have to seek psychiatric help for his post-war traumas. And then Dad says something like, "I don't deserve any help," to which she responds, "Of course you do. You're a hero." And he then hits her with a line he'd repeated over and over, which was, "I got people killed." At which point Mom kept telling him what she always did, that it wasn't his fault, that he couldn't keep blaming himself, and that above all, he did the right thing. And that's when he flips and tells her she's wrong. He didn't accidentally get anyone killed. He did it on purpose. Dad knew that if they tried to break out of the Serb encirclement together, he and his buddies would be cut to pieces. And if not a single one of them walked away to warn the next village, their families would die too. And so Dad took a risk, a major risk, but he sold his soul in the process. That morning when he was supposedly probing Serbian lines to find an opening, he wasn't doing that. Instead, he was looking for the Serbs themselves, and he did so with a white flag of surrender made out of an old shirt and a broken stick. And those Serbs took him prisoner, and then took him to their commander, who asked if he was an envoy sent to announce the villagers. That's crazy. That's widowy crazy. I feel like there's so much of that like post-Soviet Union era like civil warring that went on that you just like never hear about, or they never teach in American schools, which is, I don't know. Do you ever get really bad hungry when you're live? Like you can't help but snack just to stay focused? Sometimes, yeah, if I haven't eaten like all day. But I do often eat on here. Would you rather wear a skirt for life or a suit for life? I guess a suit wouldn't look too bad. My favorite snack, oh man. There's so many good ones. It all just depends. The Serbs took him prisoner and then took him to the commander, who asked if he was an envoy to send. The Serbs took him prisoner and then took him to their commander, who asked if he was an envoy sent to announce the village's surrender. And Dad said no, that the villager militia would die before surrendering their homes to the Serbs. But unlike them, he didn't want to die. He wanted to live, even if that meant living someplace else. The Serbs laughed, amazed that this Bosnian had the balls to ask them to simply let him leave. But that's not what Dad was proposing. Oh no. He proposed handing over the entire militia so that the Serbs could slaughter them all in one fell swoop. The only price that he asked was that they let him walk away once the shooting had stopped. And so, that's what he did. Dad ushered his comrades out into the open, but didn't run at the head of them like he'd claimed he'd have. Just call the skirt a kilt, that's fair. Dad ushered his comrades out into the open, but didn't run at the head of them like he'd claimed to have done. Instead, he simply waited at the tree line, watching as the Serbs slaughtered his brothers in arms in a pre-arranged and horrifically dead ambush. Wait, horrifically dead ambush? Why does that sound weird? Horrifically dead. I'm just going to say horrific ambush. The bagpipe dress. You have a stupid ulcer in your mouth makes eating feel like death. Ulcer? Huh. What is that from? Instead, he simply waited at the tree line, watching as the Serbs slaughtered his brother in arms. Brother? Would it be brothers in arms? Brothers in arms? Wouldn't it be brothers? Brothers in arms? I don't know. Instead, He simply waited at the tree line, watching as the Serbs slaughtered his brothers in arms in a prearranged and horrific ambush. Then once they were all dead and he heard the Serb commander yelling at his men to stop shooting, he just walked out into the open, stepped over the bodies of his lifelong friends as he made his way to safety. He was convinced the Serbs would shoot him. In fact, he told my mom at one point that he wished they did. And the Serbs knew killing him would be the easy way out, and that the ultimate knife through the heart of my father was going on with his life, knowing that he was a traitor to his country and his people. Obviously, when he reunited with his family in the next village over, my dad talked about his little... The only reason your stomach acid doesn't burn through your stomach is because your mucus lining. Yeah. We had an infected wisdom tooth a while back. A pain made eating and brushing my teeth feel like I was in hell. Was it just like... kind of like sudden and searing? Pumping rock salt. Wait, so it's brother in arms? Like, wouldn't it be plural? Like, your brother's in arms? I've heard of brother in arms. My brother in arms. Well, I guess we could just ask. Is it brother in arms or brothers in arms for plural? The correct plural form is brothers in arms. Okay, brother in arms refers to a single person, while brothers... Okay, that makes sense. Just making sure. Would you rather fries and fish or ribs? I don't know. Can I have both? Fish and chips. You ever watch Band of Brothers? I've seen some of it. I remember I mentally checked out even when I was younger, seeing like Ross from Friends as like one of the kind of like serious drill instructors or whatever in the early episodes. But I never finished the show. I found it not quite as engaging as like Saving Private Ryan, though I think it was inspired by that, or not inspired, but produced by, what's his name? God, how could I not remember his name? He made all the good movies. Steven Spielberg. But maybe I need to give it another try now that I'm older. I remember when I was younger, it was just kind of a bit of a slog. It's cousin in arms, yeah. Step bro in arms. It's obviously when he reunited with his family in the next village over, my dad talked as little about his escape as possible, and allowing everyone to assume that what he'd done was heroic instead of selfish and contemptible. He managed to keep it a secret for a while, but like I said, it was only a matter of time before he snapped and spilled his guts to my mom one night, and she told him to leave. She knew what he'd done was terrible, and when it comes to ensuring the survival of yourself or your family, people sometimes end up doing some frankly unthinkable stuff to each other. But in the moment, she didn't know what else to do, so she told him to just get out. She said that she thought he'd come back, that he'd go get drunk at the bar that he always went to and then come back in the early hours of the morning, stumbling drunk and begging her forgiveness. But he never came back. Ever. He got into his car, drove out of town, and never returned. And Mom thinks that he's still alive somewhere because they're technically still married and she's his next of kin. But if he does die, we'll probably end up finding about... So, if he does die, we'll probably end up finding out about it pretty quick. And people say that I should think about reaching out to him, but honestly, that's not something I'm really interested in just now. People say I'll regret it if I don't, and that you always think you have time when really you don't. But I'm not scared to face my father with the knowledge of what he did. I'm scared what he might have become. I know there's a chance that he moved on, made a life for himself, and that meeting him for the first time as an adult might prove the catharsis that sometimes I think I'm sorely in need of. But I think the reality isn't so rose-tinted, and that now he might just be more of a monster than the creature who betrayed his comrades. I know that if he didn't do what he did, I might not be here to write this, but all the reasoning and rationalizing... Why does that sound so weird? But all the reasoning and rationalizing in the world will change. Wait, what? I know that if he didn't do what he did, I might not be here to write this. But all the reasoning and rationalizing in the world will change what he did. I assume won't change what he did, right? Because I feel like that's like a completely different sentence. Wait, am I wrong? Yeah, won't, right? But all the reasoning and rationalizing in the world won't change. Yeah, that makes more sense. Won't. Yeah, okay. Sorry. But it's just funny that it said will. Maybe there was just like a lapse of thought on that last little sentence there. They should make a war drama about Saddam Hussein. His whole region was so weird. His Secret Service wore Darth Vader helmets. Yeah. Let's ask chat. Well, let me just do this last little bit here. I know that if he didn't do what he did, I might not be here to write this. But all the reasoning and rationalizing in the world won't change what he did. Yeah, well, okay. Under Saddam Hussein, what countries did Iraq invade? If it was even under him, I don't even know. Under Saddam Hussein, Iraq invaded two countries, Iran in 1980 to 1988. The Iran-Iraq War began when Iraq, under Saddam Hussein, invaded Iran on September 22nd, 1980. Saddam aimed to seize control of the oil-rich province of Khuzestan and weaken the Iranian regime after the 1979 Iranian Revolution. And the war lasted for 8 years, ended in a stalemate with significant losses on both sides. And Kuwait in 1990, on August 2nd, 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, leading to the Gulf War. Oh, okay, that's what that was. Saddam Hussein justified the invasion by accusing Kuwait of economic warfare, such as overproducing oil and allegedly stealing oil from Iraqi reserves. This invasion led to international condemnation and a U.S.-led coalition that forced Iraq to withdraw in early 1991. Interesting. It's just interesting to think that sometimes people think that the United States invaded Iraq specifically for the oil. Well, let's see. Was there a time when Iraq tried to get away from oil or sell it under a different currency? Yes, Iraq under Saddam Hussein did attempt to move away from selling oil in US dollars and switch to other currencies. This occurred in 2000 when Iraq began selling its oil under the United Nations Oil for Food program in euros instead of US dollars. Switched to euros in November 2000, Saddam Hussein announced that Iraq would begin selling oil in euros instead of dollars. This was a significant move because the global oil market is typically dominated by transactions in US dollars, a practice known as the petrodollar system. The decision was partly politically motivated as it was a form of resistance to US influence and dominance in the global economy, particularly after years of sanctions following the Gulf War. Impact and aftermath. Despite skepticism, Iraq switched to euros, appeared to work for a time. They even converted about $10 million of their reserves into euros. However, the change did not have a large-scale impact on global oil trade because other major oil-producing nations continue to sell oil in US dollars. 2003 invasion and reversion to dollars. After the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, the oil sales were reverted back to being priced in U.S. dollars. Some analysts speculate that Iraq's move to euros may have been one of the factors that concerned the U.S. government, although official reasons for the invasion centered around issues like weapons of mass destruction and Iraq's defiance of UN resolutions. Interesting. And didn't the whole WMD thing turn out to be... Let's ask. Let's ask these questions. These are good questions. Didn't the mass destruction thing turn out to be a farce? Yes, the claim that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction, which was the primary justification for the U.S.-led invasion in 2003, was later proven to be largely unfounded. Pre-invasion claims, the U.S. government, along with the UK and some other allies, argued that Saddam Hussein's regime was developing and stockpiling WMDs, including chemical, biological, and possibly nuclear weapons. The Bush administration, particular figures like Vice President Dick Cheney, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, and Secretary of State Colin Powell, presented this argument as the central reason for the invasion. Intelligence reports and allegations of non-compliance with UN inspections were used to bolster these claims. Invasion and search for WMDs. Following the invasion of March 2003, U.S. and coalition forces conducted extensive searches for WMDs throughout Iraq. The Iraq Survey Group, tasked with finding these weapons, ultimately concluded that Iraq has dismantled its WMD programs in the 90s following the Gulf War and UN sanctions. While some remnants of old chemical weapons were found, they were largely non-functional and not part of any active WMD program. Intelligence failures. After the invasion, it became clear that the intelligence used to justify the war was either flawed or misrepresented. Key sources of information, such as defectors like the notorious Curveball, provided inaccurate or exaggerated claims. Old Curveball, man, he's always up to something. Additionally, much of the intelligence was based on assumptions rather than concrete evidence. Reports by the CIA, MI6, and other agencies were later scrutinized, and it was acknowledged that there had been significant failures in gathering and interpreting the available information. Admission of error. Dude, imagine that. Okay. By 2004, U.S. officials, including President George W. Bush and British Prime Minister Tony Blair, acknowledged that the intelligence on WMDs had been wrong. The absence of WMDs in Iraq became a major controversy, leading to widespread criticism of the war, particularly after it became clear the invasion had led to a long and costly occupation and insurgency. Yeah. Fascinating. I don't know. It makes you wonder. It's like if the U.S. government, that same U.S. government, lied to the world, essentially, to justify invading and destabilizing and occupying a Middle Eastern country under some pretense, some false pretense, provably false pretense. That makes you wonder what other bullshit you get told every fucking day of your life. Anyways. Have you ever told a story that you thought was fake? No, honestly, they all sound they all sound as believable as the Iraq War and WMDs. Actually, they sound even more believable than that. Oh, is a hidden motif. Motif. I don't know, that sounds funny. Oh. I took so Pradeep has this black, really fuzzy black blanket that he likes to have sex with and make biscuits into, but I think he's also, banging it, trying to make a kid. And I put that at my feet under my desk, and I look down and he's all curled up on it, so that's pretty cute. They hear about Asmongold getting canceled? Yeah, I did. He's not the most articulate individual when it comes to his opinions, or definitely with that one, he just fucking flopped that one pretty hard, trying to explain whatever he was trying to explain. can I ship you with T6? What's T6? Oh, ship me, like in a relationship. I see, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. We're already dating. It's good. Yeah, Senpai's getting canceled along with Obama. So apparently the Undertaker never wanted his streak to end and secretly hoped instead of Brock Lesnar ending it, he hoped that he'd retire at 25-0 and not at 25-2. That's good to know. There's a stray cat I've since named Buddy, not very creative, but yesterday was trying to make biscuits in the grass. Oh, you need to go give him a little blankie. All right, so story 2. What's up, Lacey? How we doing? Just kidding. I did have to burp, though. Sorry. Do you remember when Brock Lesnar played a couple preseason games with the Minnesota Vikings? Dude, that was amazing. Because he came into the NFL at like age 27 with like no experience playing football, like at all. And literally, you know, I don't think he made the practice squad or anything like that, but he got to play in like a preseason Vikings game. And he didn't do great, but he didn't, you know, get embarrassed or anything like that. And I was like, damn, dude, that's a pretty decorated career you got there. Many years ago, in land far from these shores, a man makes a speech in front of a crowd of villagers, and they hang on to his every word. No one dares speak, and no one dares look away. And when the man finishes speaking, he takes out a lighter and sparks a flame, and behind him, a woman stands tied to a wooden post with a gasoline-soaked motorcycle tire around her neck. So much of the acrid flammable liquid had dripped and soaked into the earth around her that the man only needs to toss the lighter at her feet to ignite the fumes and set her ablaze. As the woman screams, no one in the crowd says a word. Most have known the woman their whole lives. She is an elder in the village, a woman of influence. But as the flames roast her alive and her shrieks saturate the air around them, no one in the crowd raises a single word of protest. And the woman's crime was the theft of a tiny ball of opium from a rustic processing center hidden away in the jungles of western Myanmar. She told the man who burned her alive that her son was suffering from a broken arm, and since she couldn't afford medicine on her meager salary, she'd stolen the opium in the hopes of relieving his pain. And that was said to have listed... He was said to... yeah. Brock Lesnar's daughter. I guess I never seen him. Let me check this out. Brock Lesnar's daughter. Oh my god, she does look just like him. That's crazy. Oh no. Wow. Wonder if she's like extremely strong. That's wild. He was said to have listened intently, as if he deeply sympathized with the woman's dilemma, and then once he secured a full confession, he sentenced her to death. Judge, jury, and executioner. And that man, who set a person on fire as easily as you or me would light a candle, was the head enforcer for a group of heroin smugglers based in what's known as the Golden Triangle out in Southeast Asia. The woman wasn't the first he'd killed. Damn, I feel like I'm not like pronouncing a lot of words. The woman wasn't the first he'd killed, nor was her execution the most cruel or gruesome he'd performed. He'd dispatched hundreds over the years. Hundreds of thieves, hundreds of rule breakers, hundreds of escaping workers who tried to leave before their contracts were up, all shot, hanged, beheaded, or torched. And that's how they enforced discipline out there. How they kept poor workers in line when there was so much money flowing in from all the Americans coming over to buy their heroin. That man, that cold-blooded killer, was one of the most highly respected and highly feared men in the global heroin trade. And that man was my grandfather. He did that job for just over 10 years, from his late 20s to just after his 40th birthday, when he realized that he needed to get out. Now, I don't know all the details and why he had to leave, but I just know his life was in danger, and so were those of my mom and aunts. I guess if you kill so many people, you make probably a few enemies. And so my grandpa gathered up as much money as possible, had himself and his family smuggled into Vietnam, and then they bought a bunch of fake South Vietnamese diplomatic passports, and then basically just walked onto an Air Force passenger plane like they were VIP refugees. All the big South Vietnamese politicians were leaving the country, and they were stealing anything that wasn't tied down to ensure the communists didn't get their hands on it. So, when Grandpa shows up to the airport in a crisp business suit and a couple of suitcases stuffed with $100 bills, no one batted an eyelid when he and his family showed up and politely demanded a place on an outbound transport plane. Once he and his family arrived in America, they settled in the Bay Area, and my grandpa used his money to invest in small businesses, usually of Southeast Asian. Warning! Welcome back for 25 months. Let's go for another 25. Let's do it. We had someone earlier almost at 60 months, which is 5 years, I think. Freaking crazy, dude. Absolutely crazy. This story sounds boring, though. Well, it's about an executioner from Myanmar, so it's not boring. It's just, I guess it's scary. I don't know. We just give it some time. It'll bloom. Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles back in TNA Impact. All right, thank God. I was worried they would never return. It was like waiting for Dad to get back with the milk and cigarettes. But in the case of wrestlers, it would be waiting for them to get back with the steroids and cocaine. What's up, Jonesy? How we doing, dude? What's your process to prepare stories you read? I just have someone, or a few people, I guess, going through stuff submitted over emails and just kind of editing stuff if need be, or kind of glancing over it and trying to stick to a topic. Ever since I started doing the Dark Family Secret stuff, more people kind of think it's a cool idea, so they started sending in stuff like, hey, more recent episode, Dark Secrets, here's this, which is cool. And then if like there's not enough content, we'll do some true crime in there as well. Trouble you some more Urbex stories. You're fiending. Those are good. I'm going to look more into those for sure. Diesel G, welcome back for 2 months. Thanks for the awesome storytelling and countless hours of earbud therapy, Joel. I'm fairly new, but damn near caught up. That's crazy. Thank you so much, Diesel. You think the Urbex stories are boring? Really? Space horror? Oh man, dude, my space video about like scary space stories, that, I don't know if you saw it, but that video did so bad. Well, comparatively, well, let's actually go back and take a look. But I mean, just like performative compared to everything else, where some videos would have like 100,000 views after the course of a couple weeks. That one was like half. Let's just look real quick. I think I might have titled it, yeah, I mean, 10 months ago, and it's stuck at 87K, which is obviously not terrible in the grand scheme of like viewership, but compared to like some videos that get hundreds of thousands over the course of its lifetime, there's something about that one that just got hard screwed. Your secret involves a secretion. my family's secret secretions. Do you do anything to prepare your voice for speaking and reading for 3+ hours? Yeah, just Dr. Pepper, pretty much. Gets me through. Your cryptid Reddit, crazy neighbors and such. You know what's crazy, though, is like, I know you guys weren't like huge fans of the cult stories, but that video is doing quite well for like views. But you know, the comments on it, it's like the first one is a chore to get through. The first story, anyone starts off saying, I know what I'm talking about, followed by insulting like 10 different people. Their story shouldn't have ever left Reddit. The author of the first story should be very embarrassed. The first story is creepypasta. The first story is awful. I call BS on the first. It's just, oh my god, the first story is cringe, to be honest, with like 200 likes. And that was the one that, remember on my last stream, I was like, okay, I think we have to start with this one. I don't know. They were from 4chan, and they were just a series of stories that just unfortunately were not that engaging. But somehow the video did really well, so I have no idea. Maybe people just clicked it because it was over an hour long. I have no idea. Kelly, thank you for the 2. Yeah, the Japan ones are good. Sadly, the Japan ones don't do as, like, I kind of wish Japan was like as popular as like the deep web stuff, but it doesn't seem like many people are like too interested in Japan stuff. I don't know why. Alright. Hey, Polar Bear, what's up? Cult stories aren't my thing, neither is this, but I need the background noise. Yeah, and that might be what some people just like, they just watch it because it's ASMR for them. I really enjoy your storytelling and overall way you tell a story. Much love, brother. You got me through some tough times. You're welcome, Ghost. Good to see you. I'm glad you're staying strong. That's all you can do in life. Once he and his family arrived in America, they settled in the Bay Area, and my grandpa used his money to invest in small businesses, usually of Southeast Asian origin. He had stakes in banh mi store. Oh, how do you say that? Banh mi. Bang? What? Ban? Bang? Oh my god. How you say... Banh mi. Bun? Oh, okay. Bun. It's like a Vietnam or some sort of word from the area of like Southeast Asia. Wait, how did they say it again? Banh mi. He had He had stakes in banh mi stores, Thai restaurants, Filipino grocery stores, you name it, and Grandpa was making money from it, which is how he managed to get even richer on this side of the Pacific Ocean. He lived the life of a legitimate businessman for another 40 years, and then after successfully fighting off cancer not once, but twice, it came back a third time, and the prognosis was terminal. He went to his deathbed having... Why does that sound weird to say? Deathbed. He went to his deathbed having never ever spoken of what he did back in Myanmar. My grandma had some idea of what he did back then, enough to know Grandpa might have killed some people, but she had no clue just how vast and varied Grandpa's crimes really were. It took until he was on his deathbed and a sudden conversation... Damn it. Hold on a second, let me let my cat wander around the garage. It's being annoying. Every time I open the garage, too, like, Pradeep looks at it like it's some intimidating great mystery that he hasn't been in, like, 50 times. And he slowly, like... he, like, slowly peeks his head out and then just, like, suddenly bursts out, like, really fast. Like he's taking off. He's jumping off a cliff into the great beyond. Hey, Room 42, thank you for the gifter to Ghost. Welcome, Ghost. You now have access to bonus content. Oh, wait. I'm dumb. I realize I have a... Sorry, I have a... What is it? A dehumidifier going. Okay. Jesus. Cats are very silly. Use a dehumidifier. I had some like flooding out there in the garage, and even though it's kind of feels like it's like you're mopping up the ocean a little bit. I mean, we're good now, but there was like just kind of had to dry things out a bit, and it did actually work, so I don't know. My grandma had some idea of what he did back then, enough to know Grandpa might have killed some people, but she had no clue just how vast and varied Grandpa's crime. But she had no clue just how vast and varied Grandpa's crimes really were. It took until he was on his deathbed, and a sudden conversion to Catholicism, prompting a full and unfettered confession, that we learned just how monstrous he used to be. My mom said that over the course of around 2 to 3 days, he was visited by the same priest over and over, and in that time, he made dozens of intricate confessions, stopping only when he needed to rest. Mom said it was all terrible stuff so terrible that she could barely believe it. She thought at one point that my grandpa might have been delirious or maybe hallucinating or something, and she and Grandma tried to put a stop to it, like he doesn't know what he's saying. But he did, and he knew exactly what he was saying. He might have been slipping off his mortal coil, as they say, but his mind was still very much intact, and once he'd made that clear to the priest, the confessions continued. Now, like I said, there were many, but according to my mom, this one was the one that always stuck with her. To just about any big money business, security is one of the most important aspects of day-to-day operations, and with my grandpa and his employers, they ran their territory like it was their own sovereign state. They basically had their own border police, what amounted to their own army and air force, and even their own ID cards that they gave to workers so they knew who was who. They were able to operate with such freedom through bribing government officials, but it didn't ensure complete autonomy, not to mention that everything had to operate under a shroud of total secrecy. And so when a large American NGO suddenly showed up in the Myanmar I'm saying Myanmar, right? Right? That'd be bad if I said that wrong the whole time. Tanzania. Myanmar. Okay. What's up, DLC? How we doing? Myanmar, yeah. Mamma mia, it's me in Myanmar. I remember growing up, my church would like always go over to Myanmar to do stuff. I know it's been gone through many war-torn situation, but I've always been curious What the hell? So when a large American NGO suddenly showed up in the Myanmar section of the Golden Triangle and started going from village to village and vaccinating children, it wasn't a good thing for my grandpa and his bosses. It was a huge, huge problem. All the right government officials had been bought, but if the Americans got wind that the heroin producers had turned a huge chunk of the western province into a giant heroin factory, then there'd be trouble. The news would no doubt... Damn, I have like dyslexia hard tonight, god damn it. The news would no doubt make its way back to the American ambassador, who'd have no choice but to inform the president, and after that, who knows what kind of foreign intervention that might... The news would no doubt make its way back to the American ambassador, who would have no choice but to inform the president, and after that, who knows what kind of foreign intervention that might bring. This was at the height of the Vietnam War, too, and although the American public didn't know about U.S. Special Forces roaming around the countries they shouldn't have been in, the people in those countries sure as hell did. And so, when I say my grandpa's organization considered the Americans a very real threat and not an abstract one, you can understand their apprehension when a U.S.-run NGO just showed up out of nowhere. And right after they showed up, my grandpa's organization sent out a missive? What the hell's a missive? Missive. A formal or long letter, typically one that is sent as written communication. The term is often used to describe an official or important letter, especially in a form of bureaucratic context. Okay. You guys talking about diaper maxing in chat? What's going on? So annoying. Today I was doing, after my, heavy squats, I was like, well, I need to do something else. So I just, for fun, I started doing the, yoke carry. And I got up to my, heaviest amount, which was 625 for the yoke carry. And it was just so fucking heavy, you know what I mean? Where even just, standing it up off the ground was annoying as shit. And then as soon as I do that, people... two chicks just start fucking in the the path that I had to walk down with the yoke carry. They just stand there. What is that bot? System permanent ban will ensure if live video does not end in 3 minutes. Is that a real thing? That's not real. It's just a stupid annoying person. Yeah, with dumb fucking channel too. Whatever. You call it farmer's carry? Well, farmer's carry is where you carry it on your hands. You know what I mean? You hold the... you hold... if you had dumbbells, you would hold them in your hands and walk with them. A yoke carry is where you put this huge thing on your back. And you can do it with a straight bar as well, a squat bar. And then you pile on as much weight as you can and just walk with it. And this one kind of goes over your back and then goes down to the sides, and you can put plate loaded onto it. And I got up to 625, which was a lot. But then these people just started sitting there yapping in the fucking path, and they just I'm literally walking towards them Jesus carrying the cross, and they're just oh yeah, oh man, it's been so crazy, what crazy weather, man. And I just wanted to squish them with the weight. What did I think of the movie Alexander? I don't think I've seen it. Listen to Hawk 2, a podcast. Well, we do, anytime anybody brings it up, we do check it out. Just get updated. Let's get in there. We gotta listen to... How often do they post? Talk to with Haley Winch. Oh my god. I heard 3 seconds of it. I'm ready to throw up. All right, you guys want to hear from them important topics such as, what do you guys want to hear? Haley's funeral boots, a Southern belle in the concrete jungle, yodeling vibes, the worst car a white girl can drive, reflecting on the Civil War. It's a seamless transition there. Hannah's confession. Oh my god, her dark family secret, maybe? The girls reveal their guilty pleasures. Dating comedians and age gap relationships. The road to self-awareness. After a very wide age gap relationship, they become self-aware. Empowering sex conversations. Empowering them? That sounds perfect. Pookie takes Haley on her first date. Queefing etiquette and the science behind squirting. Oh, perfect. Just after they have self-actualization, they begin queefing. Haley for president. Ghost or nah? All right, we're going to listen to Haley's confession for a little bit.
Pro is the way to go.
I have to confess something to you. You're a man.
You're man. You're
I
man.
knew it. I knew it. I was waiting for it to come out.
These girls are just too damn funny.
So Haley was talking about how she's like, I don't want to talk to men anymore, and I have to tell you something. No, I'm just kidding. But it is about men. It is about men.
You hate them too?
Look, some of them are good and some of them are not, and it's important to not get rose-colored glasses. But in terms of the Haktua thing, I hate spit.
What?
I just have to tell you, because I feel like we're connecting, and we can
That's
be different in
blasphemous
some
on
ways.
this podcast.
But I'm gonna stay
I
real
think
with
that'd
you.
be okay. You and Whitney are
I'll
different in
always
some
say
ways,
real.
and y'all hit it off.
Y'all hit it off.
Exactly, because we're both, we like to have fun. We like
You're
to be
your
silly
own person
goose.
too.
Thank you. Because my thing
You
is,
didn't
I don't know
relate
what it is
based
about
on, like,
spit.
saliva?
I'm like,
Like the
I don't
rest
want
of
you
us?
Kind of
spitting on me.
nasty if you think about it.
I don't want him, but he can put his tongue all up in me, but I don't want him spitting on me. And I'm not going to.
Alrighty. We're going to include that confession in the final video. Hello, let's read. I don't like it when my boyfriend spits on me. Let's not meet. Hey, my boyfriend spit? Let's not meet. My boyfriend spit on my face, and I noped out of there. Holy Christ. What is going on, man? Wait, actually, I want to see how many views did that have? On the Haktua, Spikalua, Jumadua Duba, Talk to a Poopcast. She has, oh, I thought she would, well, maybe on the podcast side of things. Damn, that's a huge drop-off, though. That is a huge drop-off. So 160K subscribers, which is good, obviously, for, like, in the course of a month. But you went from, like, it coming out at 2.2 million and then getting 500,000 on each one, and then now, a day ago, 78K. Guys, I think we found our next collaboration. Time to get real big. Do I have a boyfriend? No, I'm dating the Haktua girl. You got a question? I've got an answer from the great beyond. Unsubscribe. Perfect. Am I straight? Yeah, I'm straight. I keeps it straight. Straight as an arrow. Straight as a scythe. Straight as a left-leaning curve. Wait, Joel, are you straight? I don't know why it's like so. What the hell? What the fuck? This guy likes girls? That's fucking weird. Fucking kill him! Kill the straight guy! Hang him up! Don't you know what year it is, boy? Fucking straight and shit? You... the fuck? What, you don't like options? You never been with a trucker? You missing out. Straight as a rainbow, yeah. What the Sigma? What the Sigma? He plays Fortnite and he likes girls? That's fucking strange. Right after they showed up, my grandpa's organization sent out a missive to the villagers, and they were to warmly welcome anyone who visited their villages and were to present a convincing veneer of cooperation. But any family that allowed their child to be vaccinated would suffer serious repercussions. And you might wonder why the organization didn't want kids getting vaccinated, and the explanation is a multi-layered one. Firstly, a kid didn't need functional legs to be able to process poppies for heroin production, so the organization didn't care if the children... Dude, I don't know why I can't find a fucking flow with this shit, bro. It's written perfectly, I just literally my mouth is filled with trucker juices. What the scallop? Hetero people are wheel? Wheel? He's wheel? Yeah, I'm gonna get stoned to death for being heterosexual. That'd be so funny to surround the hawk to a girl and just 50 people just spitting on her till she drowns to death. I'm kidding, I'm sorry. But I do remember that was one of her nightmares that she had. It does sound kind of like a Meat Canyon skit. Firstly, a kid didn't need functional legs to be able to process poppies for heroin production, so the organization didn't care if the children contracted polio and lost the use of their legs. It just meant more workers for the production line. Secondly, there was kind of a conspiracy theory among the organization's leaders. Some of them thought that the vaccine weren't really vaccines, that the NGOs were a CIA front, planting tiny little listening devices into all the children. They told the villagers that too, that the vaccinations would be incredibly painful and would ultimately destroy their lives by implicating them as drug traffickers to the CIA. But then, thirdly, and finally, having anyone arrive in the region who might possibly show the villagers that there's a better way of living, that couldn't be allowed to happen. The organization had to assert its complete control over the region. Anything outside of that undermined their authority and could not be permitted. And at first it seemed like the villagers were receptive to the organization's requests. After all, they were never anything but receptive and cooperative. Their very lives depended on it. But then, once the NGO actually started sending people to the villages, along with government representatives who spoke their language, a lot of the villagers realized that they were being duped. The NGOs were smart. They didn't just show up with white coats and big needles, looking incredibly creepy. They gave out basic medications at first. Aspirin, hydration powders, baby formula, snacks for the kids. Anything that would have an instant impact and win the villagers' trust. As you can imagine, to people who'd never really experienced modern medicine before, their efforts were a resounding success, and dozens of families from each village approached the NGO as subtly as they could and secretly got their kids some shots. Well, word got back to the organization, and they put my grandpa onto the task of administering those punishments. They got the names of every family whose child had been vaccinated against polio, then went around all the villages. Yeah, I feel like that would be like some type of third layer of hell demon, the Hawk-Tua demon. And she'll suck your wiener, but she's also will spit on you, spit on that thing so much that it's acid spit. It's the xenoform from Alien, or the xenomorph. It's Hawk-Tua spitting on that thing with acid spit, or like the thing from Jurassic Park, that like dinosaur that spit on Newman's face in the first movie. Also, how the hell do they even know that did those dinosaurs exist? Like, how do they just like speculate what the dinosaurs look like, and the fact they're like, this one opens up its side, like at the side of its face, and it just like jiggles a little bit, and then it shoots acid. It just sounds like a little kid like making up rules for a game in the bathtub. This one shoots, this one roars really loud. Let's read Vape, Wine, and Cheese. Perfect way to end a Wednesday. Dude, vape sounds great, honestly. I want to get addicted to vaping. I don't want to, like, freak out when I don't have my vape on me. They got the names of every family whose child had been vaccinated against polio, then went around all the villages taking away the kids who had gotten shots. The organization told the families it was just a precaution, that they wanted their own doctors to monitor the children to ensure the vaccines were genuine. If they were, and the children came to no harm, they'd be swiftly returned home with some monetary compensation. Children were made to work, so no child meant a drop in the household income. But if they did come to harm, then the organization would not only be in a better position to treat them, but they'd be in a better position to bring legal action against the NGO, having made all the relevant observations and analyses. But as you can probably guess, that was not what the organization didn't. Man. But as you can probably guess, that was not what the organization intended to do. And I don't know what they did. Damn it. And I don't know they did it. And I don't know they did it how they did it exactly. Okay. How does it not show up as bad when I put it in this doc? It should show grammatical issues. Fun fact, the frill that the Dilophosaurus had in Jurassic Park was purely added for the film. There's no proof that they had a frill or spat venom. Yeah, that's what I figured. They just kind of like make shit up, which is cool. I guess it's probably based on like some little tiny lizard, right? And they just made it big. Hope you're having a great night, because I'm tired as fuck. It's nice, but I could this time. Well, good to see you. But, as you can probably guess, that was not what the organization intended to do, and I don't know how they did it exactly. Grandpa never said, and I know that they returned those kids to the village, just not to their homes. They stacked their bodies in big piles, just outside the village that they came from, and then just left them there for the villagers to find. And it was my grandfather who killed each and every one of them en masse by poisoning their food and water. My mom said that she and Grandma just sat there, listening in horror as Grandpa told the story, and by the end of it, the priest was just as pale and aghast as they were. All of his deathbed confessions had been horrific, but like I said, it was that one in particular which stuck in my mom's mind and haunted Grandma until she, too, was resting in her grave. The only reason my mom ended up telling me was that okay. The Leviathan was real. Nice. You have one. You have one at home. You keep in your swimming pool. You keep in your turtle tank. So if an asteroid hit the Earth and was as powerful as they say, how come they find dino fossils so close to the impact site? Wouldn't those dinos be destroyed by fire and explosion? I have no idea, honestly. I literally have no idea. I think a lot of the times when it comes to history and... I mean, if you think about like modern science and like how far we've come in regards to that, it's like... We're like 200 years into this, right? in the grand scheme of how fucking knows how old the Earth is, and also how old humanity is, and also just the scientific method in general, or whatever it might be. Like, I think a lot of the times, like, human beings' brains just find it so much easier to contextualize everything and make sense of it, and then believe it sort of in many dogmatic ways that that's the truth. Even though I'm not arguing against whatever the fuck, I guess I couldn't care either way, because I know some people get very upset when you ask any questions ever, because you're evil and bad, blah, blah, blah. But that being said, you know, it's like, who fucking knows? How do we know? We don't know anything. We don't know shit about shit. I mean, we know some shit, but we don't know all the shit. It works for Jurassic Park because those dinosaurs were created using incomplete dinosaur DNA chains crossed with complete DNA chains of modern animals. They were tweaked to fit our expectations. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in that sci-fi situation. Also, all the small bones, don't you think they would have blown out of place by high winds? How long did it take for the bones to be covered? Ever found bones in the wild? Science is to be deserved. Yeah, I guess they definitely not on like the superficial layer of stuff, but I don't know, man. Do you like or have you seen The Penguin? Oh, I heard about that show, but it seems like there's so many different Batman shows and movies come out. It's like hard to keep up, and I haven't seen the Penguin. Is it good? It wasn't the impact, it was because the world got covered in ash and everything sort of died due to lack of sunlight and volcano. Right, but he was saying about how, like, there's bones found near where they presume the big asteroid hit or whatever. I mean, I guess maybe over a period of time, those over millions of years or whatever the fuck, like, some of the dinosaurs could have died near that area. Or, I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know, like, within the timeline of paleontology or whatever the fuck, that some, like, big asteroid killed everything. I have no idea. And you think that there would be like some giant fucking reptiles that would have survived, especially if, like, then you jump kind of, it's like you get dinosaurs and then you jump right to the ice age. And I know that's not the exact case, but like it seems like in the very simplistic sense of teaching people history, that's how you always sort of frame it, is the dinos and then the big asteroid and then the woolly mammoth, and then human. And then the human kill everything, and now we have Xbox or whatever. I don't know. Like, it's just... Oops. Hit my hand there. Sorry. Meteor impacts can create impact glass. I would wager that fast fossilization would simply if you just remotely out of the initial blast crater zone. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not a fucking expert on any of that shit, and I can't even really speculate. And I like to just assume because I'm dumb, everybody's dumb, right? If I don't know it, then it's fucking magic. It's just aliens. The only reason my mom ended up telling me was that I wanted to visit Myanmar to see the places she and Grandpa had come from. She kept obfuscating whenever I brought up that subject, because... fuck, man. She kept obfuscating whenever I brought that subject up, because I wanted to know where exactly I had to travel in order to see my ancestral homeland. And I pushed, and she kept pushing back until one day, she finally caved. She told me all about how Grandpa wasn't the hard-working, charitable, and successful businessman us kids thought he was, and how before they moved to the United States, Grandpa had been a completely different person. I can't go visit my mother country because there are still people in Myanmar who'd kill me if they knew that okay. Jesus fuck, why doesn't it like auto fix it? Do I play Apex Leggings? Ape Sex Leggings? I played it when it first came out, but I really don't like Battle Royales that much. I hate the concept of downstate. Downstate in video games make me sick. Yeah, and then just like you drop in, you loot, and then you get killed out of nowhere by some sort of asymmetrical battle that you can't really take into consideration, which I get is, you know, that's a lot of skill to consider all those variables and stuff within the realm of first-person shooters, but it was one of those things where I played PUBG very early on and was just like, this fucking sucks. I mean, like, I could never get used to the ballistics in that game and how to, like, shoot, and nobody ever really, I don't know, I just didn't spend enough time to, like, learn it or care. And the fact that, like, it took so long to get into another game, I'm like, dude, I can't even, like, I have to put so many fucking hours just to have, like, one shootout, which if I even have a gun by the time I'm in a shootout with somebody, I'm like, never gonna learn the mechanics. I don't know, it was just such a fucking waste. That cult video game story was fucking wild. Well, I'm glad somebody liked it. Fossil fuel is made from vegetation that was buried in under pressure. It has nothing to do with actual fossils. And yes, they did dawn. They had to hide in the mountains from them. Who are we hiding from? Who's in the mountains? Who are we hiding from? Native Americans fought giants. Is that true? They fought big ones? I can't go visit my mother country because there are still people in Myanmar who'd kill me if they knew who my grandfather was. And not just people in Shan province who'd take revenge for their murdered kids. I'm talking government officials who could quite easily make a person disappear, and I mean really disappear. Smithsonian destroyed and locked away giant bones. Do you think so? Do you think that happened? They took all the good giant bones and kept them for themselves to make a soup, a big old soup, big old broth. They got Elon Musk. Can't trust him anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I've kind of arrived at this perspective where it's like, what if everything is just controlled opposition? And that the characters like Elon, who likes, the more conservative types might go onto Twitter and say, like, Elon saved Twitter. Now I can free speech is saved or whatever the fuck. But in reality, it's just sort of like you're still like limited to the Overton window of what can be discussed within that very limited view of discussion, and that anything beyond that is still usually probably banned. You know what I mean? Because like within politics, what's like the Noam? Here, I'm gonna look it up. What's the Noam Chomsky quote about the Overton window and debate or something like that? What does he say? The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum, even encourage the more critical and dissident views. That gives people the sense that there's free thinking going on, while at the same time the presuppositions of the system are being reinforced by the limits put on the range of the debate. Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky. That's actually great. So I've always kind of believed, I know Noam Chomsky is like definitely varied in his perspectives over time, but at least back then, that quote always kind of stuck with me, where I'm like, there's a lot of things that don't really get discussed ever, or you can't ever really talk about certain specific stuff, but within the limits of the stuff you can, it's a very lively, open debate, I guess, or not even necessarily open, because there's like still censorship within that like permitted idea, but I don't know, everything just feels like what are they called, like limited hangout? Is that a term? Let me ask you, what is limited hangout? A tactic used in intelligence and political circles where an organization or government intentionally reveals part of the truth while concealing more damaging information. The goal is to create the appearance of transparency or admission, thereby controlling the narrative and preventing further inquiry or suspicion about the more significant secrets still hidden. Oh, okay, I guess that doesn't okay, for example, a government might admit to a minor scandal to appear accountable while hiding more serious misconduct. That's kind of how I feel with like Elon in regards to the whole what were those like files that he was releasing whenever he joined, or like when he took over Twitter? He found that there was like communication with like the direct communication with the Pentagon to like shut down certain conversation or whatever, or shut down certain discussion of topics and whatnot. But it's like you kind of release a little bit of that to appear like you're some sort of like unbiased like champion of free speech, but you never actually get like the full consideration of conversation, or never fully allow people to discuss things on a completely open form of discourse, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. And like the things that we argue about now, it's like are just kind of silly. They almost like get borderline religious, where you're like, you can talk yourselves in circles about random shit, you know what I mean? But it's just feels like some grander distraction for like the plebs, us plebs at the bottom, to just sit there and badger about forever. Yeah, a lot of it feels like playing a card game. I think that's kind of like one of the worst parts about Trump, is that like I think back in, there was an era of like when I was in college and stuff in like 2008 to 2012 where I would watch I would watch like YouTube videos, and you would get into some like really interesting concepts or like tactics of like intelligence agencies and blackmail and those types of concepts, and like plans for long game, controlling of like the executive branch, and really blackmailing all forms of like government, and or just even the more crazy conspiracy stuff like deep underground military bunkers and things like that. But then there was a very clear indication that people that were interested in those types of topics were not so much interested in the left versus right paradigm of politics. And I like that, because I started to notice that a lot more people were getting into like, I don't trust the system, I think voting is stupid, or it doesn't matter, they're both controlled, stooges. But then when Trump came on, I think it kind of created this narrative where he's some degree of like maverick outsider or whatever, but I also have this inclination that he was almost used as sort of like the Trump card. If there's like some sort of like grand Illuminati above everything, I could see Trump being used as sort of like this thing to justify various stuff like censorship and bad policy or whatever the fuck it is from the opposing side. But then you're not really going to get anything, even if you get them. You're still going to end, like even when Trump was in office, it's like you still end up with like mass inflation via COVID, which is one of the biggest transfers of wealth in the history of America, as well as what we created like 30% of our inflation throughout that, or 30% of our currency or whatever during that period of time, and with printing and shutting down the country and all that kind of stuff, Operation Warp Speed, all, you know what I mean? Like all this like weird stuff where it's like, there certainly wasn't, I don't know, there's so many ways you can work it, where you can like, when you play both sides of the ball, of the pendulum, it doesn't matter who's in charge, like external entities can still get what they want, you know what I mean, by almost like playing into that like left versus right paradigm. And then it's also really amplified that divisionary politic, you know what I mean, where people argue with each other on the family level at Thanksgiving because someone has pronouns and someone, is a MAGA guy, you know what I mean? Like there's like that typical thing or whatever. But it's not just that, it's just like conversations between coworkers. Can I trust you because we have the same politics? Like that kind of stuff was like dying. Like that kind of narrative was dying, the left versus right stuff back in, pre-2016. And then it just seemed like he came on, it was like everything just got, like, it's like everything reset. Everything just got like amplified again and reset in a weird way. And I'm not a big fan of that at all. And I like to imagine that maybe it's wearing off, but it doesn't really matter if it like wears off, because if said operations can be completed, then it worked. You know what I mean? Whether that's taking us down like some crazy period of wartime, or what, I have no fucking idea. You know what I mean? Public servants, not rock stars. Yeah, exactly. And it unlocks the same. And you know, I feel like these people in power understand that like politics operates very similar within the human psychology as religion does. You know what I mean? So it's easy to manipulate. It's easy for people to kind of get caught up in that identity aspect. But it also, in the same way with religion, sometimes like it might make you feel like you're part of a community in certain aspects, and you associate with that, and you start want to protect that identity that you have with the community. But in the end, when it comes to actually like changing much of anything, it's sort of usually, at least financially, a net zero operation, you know, where you're just like treading water and essentially getting nowhere. And maybe the sun is setting in the distance and it makes you feel like you're traveling through the stars, but you're still here on fucking planet Earth, you know? What if I had an orange face? What if I was Donald Trump, guys? Hey everyone, welcome to my thingy thing. I'm gonna whip out my cock, but I'm gonna cover it with my toupee. That'd be hilarious if his pubes were the same as his toupee. Just kind of like wispy, blondish hairs. With everything going online, it includes extremist groups, so we get overexposed to them more instead of just being in the specific area. We get exposed to so much more with the internet. Yeah, as a comb over pubes. I don't know. It's whatever. But I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just, you know, we can sit there and, you know, and giggle at the executive branch and or get angry, whatever, you know, whatever emotion you fancy. It's essentially leading nowhere. So I do hope that most people can realize that the left-right paradigm just doesn't work. It might be able to keep most things stabilized to a certain degree, but in many ways, I think it's lately destabilizing the family and community unit. So I would just hope that most people would try to heal those relationships that may or may not have been broken over time, and just focus on themselves, you know. Oh my god, I got coffee right here. I shouldn't drink it though. That's gross. Well, not gross, but it's a little late for that. Two wings of the same bird. Yeah, exactly. Two cheeks of the same butt. And they're both producing shit. So that was 2 stories, right? Now we're on 3. Did this one read this one? No, wait, sorry. Wispy, very wispy, the most wispy. Think about what you said. Where'd you say it? Sean, sorry. Channel activity. Think about what I said. How many huge machines does it take to cause displacement in air or water? How do planes and boat not disrupt major air and water currents? Wait. How many huge machines does it take to cause displacement in air or water? I don't know what you're saying. Are you talking about weather control, or what are you talking about? You're talking about airplanes? Hovercraft? I don't know. Sorry, I'm lost here on which story I'm reading. Allow me to tell you the story of Winston, or more specifically, Ephraim. Okay, so we got some true crime coming up here, I think. I don't know how to say his name, though. Ephraim. How you say the name Ephraim? Ephraim. So EF, like the beginning of effort, and rum, rhyming with drum. Ephraim. Cool. Allow me to tell you the story of the Winstead Carter family of Providence, Rhode Island, or more specifically, of their only son, Ephraim. Ephraim Carter was born on October 30th of 1879 to George Austin Carter and Catherine Winstead. George Carter was almost 60. Boats and hoes, exactly. George Carter was almost 60 years old when Ephraim was conceived, while Catherine was just 29. The story of their matrimony is long and complex and somewhat tedious, but to summarize, their marriage was one of expedience. The Winsteads needed the Carters' land and money to ensure their dynasty placed in the upper echelons of American society, whereas the Carters needed children to continue their family line. Catherine had already provided George with 3 daughters, but as you can probably guess, that left the Carters disappointed. They needed a son, and for a long time it appeared as if Catherine would fail to provide one. George was getting older, and to put it bluntly, his baby-making abilities were not what they used to be. And so you can imagine everyone's surprise when, in January of 1879, Catherine announced that she was pregnant. The news was celebrated by those who had heard it, but there was still the matter of the baby's gender, because, as cruel and callous as it sounds, another daughter would mean Catherine had labored in vain. Back then, there were no ultrasounds or gender reveal parties, so everyone had to wait the long 9 months to see if the baby was a boy or a girl. And to everyone's infinite relief, it was a boy. A boy they named Ephraim. Unlike his older sisters, who bore an uncanny resemblance to the women of the Carter family, little Ephraim took after his mother. That sounded bad. It's been 13 years since I made a baby. I'm not sure I could do it again. Oh, Elvis, I didn't know you had kids. That's cool. Unlike his older sisters, who bore an uncanny resemblance to the women of the Carter family, little Ephraim took after his mother. The Winsteads all had jet black hair and dark brown eyes, giving rise to the rumor that one of their ancestors had been a mulatto slave girl from the Caribbean. The Carters were all blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and if it wasn't for the serendipitous circumstances of little Ephraim's birth, then perhaps more questions would have been asked of his young mother. As it stood, Ephraim's arrival was treated as nothing but a blessing, but as the boy began to age, many began to consider him more of a burden than a boon. Ephraim was an energetic and eager child, and was tottering around on 2 legs by the time he was 2. This obviously meant his physical development was progressing just fine, but in terms of his mental development, the boy's relatives and Minders were astounded. But at age 2.5... Waffling. I'm waffling about waffles. Age 2. By age 2. Oh, stop by again on my way to sleep. Say, hope you all have a good night. Hey, thanks, Kyle. Good to see you. Hope you're having a good one. By age 2.5, Ephraim was solving fairly complex puzzles, understood concepts his peers failed to grasp entirely, and possessed an impressive vocabulary to boot. Ephraim's older sisters were all in their mid-teens and early 20s, so he had no one of his age to play with for quite some time, and naturally, his mother wanted to see him properly socialized, so she arranged playdates with other children of a similar age. But this is where Ephraim started to exhibit concerning behavioral problems. In one instance, a boy Ephraim was playing with fell down, but... yeah, fuck. Eating cookies like chips right now. Hell yeah, dude. Thin, wafered ones. Marilyn, thank you. I'm saying that right. Would you rather be a Hollywood movie star or a famous singer? Probably a movie star, to be honest with you. It seems like a less strenuous schedule, whereas like the singers have to make money by traveling all over the world all the time, which can be pretty exhausting. In one instance, a boy Ephraim was playing with fell down, hit his face on a wooden floor, and began bleeding profusely from his mouth and nose. Instead of helping the boy, or showing any form of compassion whatsoever, Ephraim Carter simply laughed and then carried on playing with a small tin train set. They always love trains, man. Instead of helping the boy, or showing any form of compassion whatsoever, Ephraim Carter simply laughed and then carried on playing with a small tin train set. I can't fucking say this, god damn it. Oh, man. Instead of helping the boy, or showing any form of compassion whatsoever, Ephraim Carter simply laughed and then carried on playing with a small tin train set given to him by his father. The boy staggered around, blood pouring down his little white dress shirt, too stunned to scream or call out, until one of Ephraim's minders noticed the commotion and... oh, minders. Oh my god, minders. What the fuck kind of term is a minder? Like a babysitter? Motherfucker. How far back was the minder on the first one? Like carers, caretakers. Even caretaker would have made... god damn it. I just assumed it was like some stupid old term. Maybe someone won't notice. The boy staggered around, blood pouring down his little white dress shirt, too stunned to scream or call out until one of Ephraim's minders noticed the commotion and came running to his aid. The incident was the topic of great discussion in the Carter household, both among the staff and the boy's parents. George, who was almost 63 by this point, claimed it was just boys being boys, and with the proper guidance, Ephraim would emotionally mature in line with his peers. But much to the family's dismay, Ephraim's disturbing behavior grew worse. The Carters' estate boasted one of the largest and most storied stately homes in all of New England, but it had one hell of a mouse problem. The Carters kept at least half a dozen cats. The Carters kept at least half a dozen cats of varying breeds and dispositions, and all were mousers, and all ate... Alright, is it mousers or mousers? Mouser, okay. That's such a funny term. He's a real mouser, that one. The The Carters kept at least half a dozen cats of varying breeds and dispositions. All were mousers and all ate very well in the course of their work, but it still wasn't enough to stem the tide of vermin. One of the staff proposed that they poison cheese out at One of the staff proposed they poisoned cheese out, maybe left poisoned cheese. One of the staff proposed they left poisoned cheese out at night to kill the mice off swiftly and silently. But as the groundskeeper pointed out, dozens of dead mice rotting away in the walls would smell awfully ripe coming summer. Come on, dude. My back actually hurts from doing that yoke carry today. God damn it. It didn't catch up to me till now. Fuck. M&Ms are portrayed to be in ads to be living and Skittles aren't. That is kind of weird. Maybe because M&Ms beat them to it and they're like, well, we can't just directly copy M&M. But as the groundskeeper pointed out, dozens of dead mice rotting away in the walls would smell awfully ripe come summertime. And that's how the Carters came to the decision to lay mouse traps all over the house and grounds. Ephraim was just 6 years old during the mousetrap debacle, but he had grown into a remarkably intelligent young man who routinely astounded strangers and familiars alike with how sharp and intuitive he was. But then, combined with his reckless, spontaneous, and sometimes malicious behavior, Ephraim had become a force to be reckoned with. When they were first laid, Catherine Winstead Carter was concerned that the visibility of the vermin's cadavers might disturb young Ephraim, as well as the home's many guests. She entrusted the groundskeeper with the task of ensuring the traps were emptied, cleaned, and promptly replaced each morning, before little Ephraim had a chance to see them. If he failed to do so, there would be trouble. As you can imagine, the groundskeeper did as he was asked, not wanting to incur the wrath of the family matriarch. But to his surprise, the mice seemed far too clever to take the bait. For the first few mornings, the groundskeeper would wake up, get dressed, and then walk downstairs to check the traps, only to find them all empty. And the bait seemed intact, but as time went by, some of it began to go missing. The groundskeeper went to fetch more from... What's up? Can you pronounce the world's largest word? Which one is that? It's Cody. It's the longest word. Cody Bonger. Is that a real thing that Skittles causing birth defects, or is it a joke that went over my head? Oh yeah, I think you posted that before. What's it say? Pneumo, ultra microscopic, silico, volcaniconiosis. Okay. Pneumono-ultramicroscopic silico-volcaniconiosis. Okay, I'm doing it. Pneumono-ultramicroscopic Pneumono-ultramicroscopic silico... the fucking chat keeps moving. God damn it. Hold on a second. Sorry. I'm just gonna listen to it. Oh, there's no way it's not on Forvo. That's so sad. I feel like you just made that word up. That'd be really funny. Hey Heather, what's up? Alright, we're gonna hear it real quick.
We are looking at how to pronounce one of the longest words in the English language. But first of all, what does it mean? This is an invented long word said to mean a lung disease caused by inhaling very fine ash and sand dust from a volcanic eruption in particular. So how do you go about pronouncing it? Here it is. Pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. It sounds pretty hard and difficult, right? But it's not actually too bad when you break it down into...
Okay, thank you. I'll take it from here. Fuck, I don't know. I've heard you can lose your teeth during pregnancy because the baby takes your calcium. That little baby's a thief. Pneumo caused by microscopic silica from volcanic ash. Interesting. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Pneumococ. Micrococcosis. Micropenisiliosis. It's when you get micropenises in your lungs from a big old ditty party. The bait seemed intact, but as time went by, some of it began to go missing. The groundskeeper went to fetch more from the pantry, but upon returning to the mousetraps, he discovered that almost all of them had been triggered. He asked around the stately home staff if they'd been emptying the mousetraps sooner than he could get to them, but each and every one of them said no. The groundskeeper racked his brains, wondering tirelessly what the issue could be, until of course he asked Mrs. Carter if he could inspect young Ephraim's bedroom. And there, in a closet, they found a dozen dead mice and a scalpel. Ephraim had been dissecting them. Everyone was horrified as the news that Ephraim's antics had reached a diabolically new low, but there was hope. Ephraim's uncle Joseph had announced that he was returning from the Philippines just in time for Ephraim's 7th birthday. He too had been a troublesome child, but had some found The fear of long words is so funny. Why did they call it? That is really funny. He too had been a troublesome child, but had found discipline in his early teens and had excelled in academia. Uncle Joseph had only met Ephraim once when he was just an infant and had been posted around the Pacific for the last 6 years, so aside from his close family members, very few of the Carter's home staff had ever laid eyes on him. So when Uncle Joseph did finally show up, the staff got to see how he and little Ephraim looked identical to one another, and the resemblance was more than passing. And the resemblance was more than passing. It was uncanny, and Ephraim took to his Uncle Joe like no one he'd ever met before. And the pair spent many a long hour together, walking around the estate, and at lunches and dinners they seemed to have the queerest method of silent communication. Joe would simply look at Ephraim, and the boy would begin giggling, and in the reverse, Ephraim would sometimes stare at his Uncle Joe, prompting a response which others would have only grasped at. One by one, everyone began to figure it out. Everyone except the boy's father, George. Little Ephraim Carter was not George's son at all. He was the spawn of Catherine Winstead and her own brother, Joseph. And once they saw it, they could never unsee it. The way George and Catherine acted around each other, the way Uncle Joe seemed to be able to anticipate the boy's every need, the way Ephraim always seemed to find his manners whenever Uncle Joseph was in the room. Everyone saw it. But George Carter... No. Everyone saw it, but George Carter, who went to his grave in ignorance of the grand betrayal which had unfolded under his very nose. Ephraim would go on to be shot dead during a... Oh, that was a big jump into the future. Ephraim got blown up by fireworks. Everyone saw it, but George Carter, who went to his grave in ignorance of the grand betrayal which had unfolded under his very nose. Ephraim would go on to be shot dead during a game of cards, aged just 17. He was caught cheating and pulled a pistol on the man who accused him. Another of the gamblers were also armed, and upon Ephraim's brandishing his weapon, he produced his own and fired a single, fatal shot. It was later discovered that Ephraim's pistol hadn't even been loaded, and that either he'd simply forgotten to load, or that the whole thing was an elaborate method of ending his own life. Another version of the story is that in a heated moment, Ephraim told of... Man, I have made so many fucking mistakes tonight. It's so annoying. Normally I can find... haven't found, a long-winded fucking continuation. Another version of the story is that, in a heated moment, Ephraim told one of his fellow players that it was he who had violated the man's wife. She had indeed been attacked less than a year prior, and the culprit was never apprehended, and as the story goes, Ephraim knew details that no innocent man should. Many of the things Ephraim did his brief... Man, where the fuck? Judith, what's up? Many of the things Ephraim did during his brief stay on this earth will forever remain a secret, as his family did all they could to protect their reputation. Dude, fuck, man. Many of the things Ephraim did during his brief stay on this earth will forever remain a secret, as his family did all they could to protect their reputation. But thanks to the testimonies of elderly staff members as well as those who knew them, we now understand that the circumstances of Ephraim's birth were far from ordinary. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. But thanks to the testimonies of elderly staff members as well as those who knew them, we now understand that the circumstances of Ephraim's birth were far from ordinary, and that the results were nothing short of terrifying. I'll probably put that one at the end. I feel like nothing really occurred there other than a creepy kid being a creepy kid and then suddenly dying. Why was that kid's history even tracked? I guess, I don't know, where do you even find out about that? Alright, well, yeah. This is the final story. In which case, I'm going to take a quick little breaky break and take some magnesium, but I shall return briefly. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. BRB. I'm back. Oh, Drew said it too. That's funny. Sundays and Wednesdays freaking rock, dude. They kick freaking butt. Wish I could turn my brain off. Or like turn certain sectors of it off, like the ones that make you care and the ones that make you afraid. And just be like this absolute fucking cybernetic bot with zero negative feelings and remorse. Well, not necessarily remorse. I don't know. Yeah, it was military grade levels of magnesium I had to consume. You wish you could turn your sex drive off. You take antidepressants, yeah. Just turn your brain completely off. Disregard feelings, acquire magnesium. Go into the I have to go to the mines. Every time I take that, I gotta go down in a little mine cart. Kind of like in Harry Potter, whenever they go down into the bank vaults. But I'm like going down fucking curly cues and like swirls and flips and floops all the way down to these subterranean layer to just like chip off a small piece of magnesium that I take with tea. And then I come back up fending off giant spiders. Think about getting on antidepressants again. I'm tired of feeling so much, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I saw like a video earlier where it was like showing this guy just going to various psychiatrists and he had like a hidden camera and it was just like he would just tell them like basic feelings and like all of them were just like, it sounds like you got bipolar depression or like a low grade bipolar, you know, just like all this stuff. Like it sounds like you have slight ADHD, and then like everyone, and I just would like do a compilation and I'm like, I'm gonna have to prescribe you, I'm gonna have to give you Prozac, I'm gonna have to give you this medication, you know. It's just like the end goal based on just like minimal conversation was them determining symptoms and then just kind of guesstimating on like you know, selling them medication or whatever. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the outcome for each of those people who take it or whatever, but to me it just sometimes seems like they fucking push people into the realm of medication so fast. It's just, and like it's not like the medications are like easy to get off of if you want to get off of them, you know. It takes a fucking, it's creates a degree of, I guess, dependency or whatever. Going to seek mental health support from a non-diagnostic professional is, in my opinion, the better option if you're going to seek therapy. Yeah, I feel like communication would probably be at least the best first start. Trying to find, you know, community support. Would you put warning in your videos? I think I did on some of the deep web stuff or whatever. But, I mean, it's kind of implied if you're coming to a horror channel, you're probably going to hear some scary shit. Alright, but yeah, this is the last story of the schmeevening. Yeah, warning. Bad people. Warning, scary, scary. Warning, 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 scary, scary. And then Fetty Fob Bear jumps at you. Or like my transition between every story is just like a green screened out Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare from all the different creatures. That'd be awesome. I got one of those jobs, but they don't tell me when the orientation starts yet. I don't know. Oh, that's annoying. I'm sure that hopefully they'll email you. Warning, this is real life. Sometimes people get hurt. Warning, nothing bad will ever happen to you, and everything is perfect, and everything is just absolutely awesome and rated PG for sometimes saying poopy. Used to do the funny, scary stories. Yeah, I never did those, but that was another narrator. Your gadget will self-destruct. Man, I used to watch like quite a few episodes of Inspector Gadget, but I gotta be honest with you, I do not remember a single episode of Inspector Gadget. I must have, like, I remember like as a kid, like definitively seeing the intro and watching the show come on like so many times, but I can't for the life of me remember anything that ever happened on any of its stories. During its inception, the United States proudly cast off its fuck, man. Who did the funny stories? His name was C. Mustard. He actually still has a channel. Actually, I'm curious. I haven't seen him forever. But it was just like a collaboration. Like every April Fool's, he would send me audio to post. But he was hilarious, man. Like he would write stories that were sort of like a mix between like Family Guy and Chappelle's Show. And he would do this voice where he'd talk like this. And yeah, it was awesome. Wait, C. Mustard. Yeah, Nighthawk. Oh yeah, holy shit. Oh, 7 years ago. Wait. 11 months ago. Funny, scary stories. Sneeko. I kind of want to listen to one on stream, but it's, I don't know. Yeah. Everything is so funny. I shit my pants and I just honestly didn't feel like changing. During its inception, the United States proudly cast off its shackles of subjugation and severed its bonds to the British Crown. But over the next 200 years, by means of wealth, media, and influence, America has ended up electing its very own aristocracy. Be it the Bushes, the Kardashians, the Vanderbilts, or the Roosevelts. Wait, Roosevelts? Roosevelts? Roosevelts. Why have I've heard that name, but I don't know what the fuck. Roosevelt. Okay, I don't know why that. I'm dumb. I knew it was theater, but I was like, Roos? I don't know. I didn't think it was spelled that way. Or I'd seen it a million times, but yeah, I don't know. Be it the Bushes, the Kardashians, the Vanderbilts, or the Roosevelts, certain families have firmly asserted themselves as the upper echelons of American society, but perhaps none more so than the Kennedys. The Kennedy family are one of the most prominent and influential political dynasties in American history. Having originated in Ireland, the family's American story began with Patrick Kennedy, an immigrant from County Wexford who settled in Boston in 1849. His son, P.J. Kennedy, became a successful businessman and politician, setting the stage for the family's meteoric rise. However, it was his grandson, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., who propelled the family to wealth and influence. Joe Kennedy Sr. was a savvy businessman who amassed a fortune through banking, real estate, the stock market, and the liquor business, most notably during the decade of alcohol prohibition that gave rise to gangsters and bootleggers alike. But despite dipping his toes into the criminal underworld, Joe Sr. later married Rose Fitzgerald, daughter of Boston Mayor John Fitzgerald, which solidified the family's political ambitions. Joe Sr. served as the U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom during the late 1930s, but soon turned his ambitions towards his children and began preparing them for leadership and public service. Perhaps the most famous of John Kennedy's children was his second son. Oh, sorry, I read that fucking wrong. Crap. Perhaps the most famous of Joe Kennedy's children was his second son, John. More commonly known by his initials, JFK, John went on to serve as the 35th President of the United States and is known for his leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis, his role in advancing civil rights, and his assassination in 1963, which shocked the world. John's younger brother, Robert, would serve as U.S. Attorney General and later represented the state of New York as a United States Senator. He too was a prominent advocate for civil rights and anti-poverty programs, but his assassination in 1968, during his campaign for the presidency, was a devastating blow to the family. The youngest Kennedy brother, Ted, also served as a U.S. Senator, while his older sister, Jean, served as the 17th U.S. Ambassador to the nation of Ireland. Yet there is another Kennedy... Dude, I don't know what it is tonight, and I guess it's probably not that abstract compared to normal, but I just feel like I'm not getting the words out. They are stuck in my fucking teeth. Would you rather walk nude in New York City or a rural town? I guess the rural town, probably. They might call the cops, but probably New York City would too. Getting a set of hips designed for athletes that are rated for running and rock climbing. Really? That's kind of fascinating. So wait. I guess I'm not... Yeah, what the fuck? They just like... Is it just at the... where like the hip inserts into... Where the fuck? Like the femur inserts. What's the femur insert into? The acetabulum? The femur or thigh bone inserts into the acetabulum. Am I saying that right? Cup-shaped socket in the pelvis. It's just the edge of that, right? At the like bone, the prominence of the capsule, or no, not the capsule. What am I thinking of? Greater trochanter, lesser trochanter, the tuberosity of ischium, man. Spine of the ischium. Sound like I'm from Arizona. No, Pennsylvania. What do you like better, cities or country? I would say cities are fine to visit. You know, it creates like an interesting little thing, but I would much rather live in the country, to be honest with you, just because being around too many people, I just find myself get very anxiety-ridden, which I feel like explains why so many people in cities are just not very nice. Oh, hey, Misfit. No, I did. I don't know how I forget. It's like the stream ends and then my brain just like turns off. What's up, Boo Man? Boo Man Chew. Yeah, I'm more for country. I'm surprised. I thought Chad had more city people. I don't know. I guess it just varies. A lot of people kind of live outside of cities and travel to work or whatever. But I don't know, I guess it just comes down to what you've been conditioned to be around. Like if you lived in the city, you probably would be like bored as hell or uncomfortable being out in rural areas. I remember like one time I had a friend who like was from Baltimore, and then they came to where I was, and they were like, they said they felt like more unsafe there than like Baltimore. And I was like, you mean fucking Bodymore? The place that had like more fucking violent crimes and murders than fucking Ecuador. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, I don't know. People are weird. But I guess if they just grew up in the cities, that's all they've known, and they just think it's... Everybody's got misconceptions, I suppose. Same here. And try to keep an open mind. Yet there is another Kennedy sister, and for the longest time, her story remained a closely guarded family secret. And this is the tale of Rosemary Kennedy. Rosemarie Kennedy, or Rosemary as she came to be known, was born at her parents' Brookline, Massachusetts home on September 13th of 1918. Named for her mother, Rose Fitzgerald, her birth was a difficult one, exacerbated by the shortage of doctors due to the outbreak of the Spanish flu. In order to prevent the birth from commencing in earnest before the arrival of a doctor, the Kennedys' nurse ordered Rosemary's mother to keep her legs closed. Yet this did nothing but to ensure that young Rosemary's head stayed in the birth canal for 2 hours longer than it should have, starving her of oxygen in the process. As Rosemary began to grow, her parents noticed that she was missing major developmental milestones, and by the age of 2, she had a great deal of difficulty in just sitting up and crawling, let alone learning to walk, actions that other children her age were accomplishing with ease. Yet instead of being open and honest regarding Rosemary's intellectual disability, her parents hid them from their friends in the wider public and allowed only a small group of close family members to know the truth. The Kennedys entrusted the family tutor with getting Rosemary up to speed with her intellectual peers, but when it became increasingly obvious that the girl required sustained and specialist help, she was sent to a Pennsylvania boarding school that focused on educating those with intellectual disabilities. At age 16, Rosemary relocated to the Sacred Heart Convent, Elmhurst, Providence, okay. I watched my hometown go from 25K to near $500,000. It sucks. I'm going to move further now into the mountains to look back to like 1K. That's crazy. What? I mean, I guess you don't have to say, but that's a huge jump. 25K to half a... Oh, is it fucking Colorado? Probably Colorado, right? With stupid Boulder, and I just remember like everybody was moving to Boulder. Everybody wanted to be in Colorado to get weed. Oh, I love weed and I love the mountain and everybody's nice hippy-dippy bullshit. You know, it's just... I remember that. Boulder, yeah. I mean, Boulder is nice. It's a very nice area, but I don't know. It would be annoying if you lived there sort of just chilling your whole life and all of a sudden they're the first ones to make drugs legal and everyone's like, let's go get fucking high. Hey, Dana, thank you. Good to see you. Sorry, alright. At age 16, Rosemary relocated to the Sacred Heart Convent in Elmhurst, Providence, Rhode Island, where she was educated. Damn, I don't know why I'm just like slipping up on my words so much. It's like too much spit or just like not enunciated enough. Let's all start a small town. That would be interesting. At age 16, Rosemary relocated to the Sacred Heart Convent in Elmhurst, Providence, Rhode Island, where she was educated separately from the other students in order to keep her condition a secret. Her reading, writing, spelling, and counting skills were reported to be at a 4th grade level. 2 nuns and a specialist teacher, supposedly named Miss Newton, worked with Rosemary on a specialist curriculum in a separate classroom far from the eyes of her fellow students. Administrators changed their policies to allow Rosemary's older brother and future President John to accompany her to a school dance. There, he acted as a kind of buffer between Rosemary and the other girls. In the words of one classmate, made her seem no different at all. In exchange for the school's cooperation, the Kennedys paid for the construction of a brand new tennis court. During the late 1930s, Once Rosemary had blossomed into a young woman in her late teens, she led a very active social life, read books, and occasionally accompanied her family on state visits to far-flung nations. She was by no means an invalid, and although her intellect was dwarfed by that of her younger siblings, she could at worst be described as childish by those unaware of her condition. In an interview with Woman's Day magazine, a young Rosemary told journalists that she was studying to become a kindergarten teacher, had an interest in social work, and even harbored longings to grace the silver screen. She presented herself as a shy, articulate, but carefully spoken young woman, but in reality, Rosemary presented nothing more than a carefully rehearsed facade. When reporters from the Boston Globe requested an interview with Rosemary, her father's assistant tailored the responses, which she then committed to memory in what amounted to hours of intensive study. The statement read, "I have always had serious tastes and understand life is not given to us just for enjoyment. For some time past, I have been studying the well-known psychological method of Dr. Maria Montessori, and..." Okay, so I assume this quote is supposed to illustrate that she's not able to talk well or something. For some time past, I have been studying the well-known psychological method of Dr. Maria Montessori, and I got my degree in teaching last year. Around the same time, Rosemary flew over to the United Kingdom and met King George VI at Buckingham Palace during an official state ceremony. Rosemary practiced the complicated royal curtsy for hours, but at the event itself, she tripped and almost fell in front of hundreds of onlookers. With characteristic British grace, the crowd completely ignored Rosemary's near miss, except of course for the royal aide who offered his assistance. Then, when she presented herself to His Royal Highness, King George merely smiled and bid her the warmest of welcomes to his court. Rosemary's mother never discussed the incident and treated the debut as a triumph, which for all intent and purpose is exactly what it was. Raymond. Lost count of the stories. This is story 4. The last story in this set. 4 sets of 2,000 reps of words. Rosemary's mother never discussed the incident and treated the debut as a triumph, which for all intent and purpose is exactly what it was. A young woman with learning difficulties had conquered both her disability and her anxiety, and had met the King of England in the process. Yet unfortunately, this period in her life marked something of a high point, as following her return to the United States in early 1940, a 22-year-old Rosemary would become, and I quote, increasingly irritable and difficult. As she approached her mid-20s, Rosemary began randomly flying into violent rages. She would destroy property, attack friends and family, with the episodes occasionally ending in convulsions or even full-blown seizures. After being expelled from a summer camp in western Massachusetts, Rosemary was sent to a convent school in Washington, D.C. Gripped by a kind of late-blooming teenage rebellion, Rosemary began sneaking out of the convent at night, with many of the convent's nuns suspecting her of carnal activity. And they warned her of STDs and the risk of pregnancy, and while it's not clear if Rosemary really was searching for romance, it's clear that she yearned for her freedom. Yet such reckless behavior frightened her frustrated parents, and when it continued unabated, right? That's what we're going for. Okay, sorry. Unabated. A deer. What's in North Carolina? I don't know. Where did the Hurricane Helene hit that caused a bunch of flooding in North Carolina? Was that like a specific area? Or? Average housing costs in your city. is 500 to 550K. HUD housing wants 1 to 1.1K for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. It's crazy. If my mom has numerous pictures of me sleeping as a child, does that count as being filmed? What? Is that an earnest question? Like, are you trying to set your mom up? Because I feel like we do that with like pets and stuff, where we like take pictures of them sleeping because they're cute. I mean, I'm sure in a similar fashion, I have no idea. I guess I can't speak on your specifics. Yet such reckless behavior frightened her frustrated parents, and when it continued unabated, the family became concerned that it might affect their political prestige. And during the fall of 1941, when Rosemary was just 23, her parents approached some of the most acclaimed psychologists in America, seeking solutions to their daughter's problems. They consulted with some of the most highly qualified medical professionals in the entire world, men who had dedicated their lives to the pursuit of medical excellence. Back then, their solution constituted the cutting edge of psychotherapeutic treatment, yet less than 100 years later, their barbarism is considered nothing short of a crime against humanity. Young Rosemary Kennedy was to be given a lobotomy. Developed in the 1930s and 40s, a lobotomy is a surgical procedure that involves severing connections in the brain's frontal lobe and thalamus. They were used to treat mental illness that didn't respond to other treatments and gained popularity due to alternatives such as straitjackets, padded cells, and physical violence being considered inhuman. The procedure involved drilling holes into the skull, then inserting a sharp instrument. That's crazy. One of the Kennedy sisters, or somebody in the Kennedy family, had a lobotomy. I did not know this. This is insane. The procedure involved drilling holes into the skull, then inserting a sharp instrument into the gray matter. This way, a surgeon could essentially scramble the parts of a person's brain that accounts for their personality. While the procedure certainly made some patients much calmer, it's obviously causing It obviously caused significant Okay, Jesus Christ. I made so many, I've made 200. It's crazy. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I wonder, how, you would think after, the first lobotomy, someone would be like, this doesn't seem right. Or, maybe the family would have been shown some examples. This is Joey before, and he's, throwing grenades. And then this is him after, and he's drooling. While the procedure certainly made some patients much calmer, it obviously caused significant personality changes, which more than often... Oh, man, I don't know why my brain just cannot do it tonight. I need a lobotomy. Maybe I got one. Maybe that's what magnesium is doing to me. It's giving me a chemical lobotomy. While the procedure certainly made some patients much calmer, it obviously caused significant personality changes which, more often than not, manifested as apathy, as well as a chilling kind of desocialization, whereby the patient acted beyond the confines of regular human behavior. As you can imagine, lobotomies could also have some serious and sometimes deadly side effects, So much so that when replacement drugs such as Thorazine were introduced, the number of procedures dropped off dramatically. Yet incredibly, lobotomies still remain legal within the United States. This is the procedure that Rosemary was subjected to, and even at the time, those outside the medical profession considered it a dystopian solution to a tragic and deeply upsetting problem. Joe Kennedy Sr. knew his wife would never consent to it, yet instead of discussing it with her, Joe had the procedure performed in secret and only informed Rosemary's mother when it was completed. Rosemary's lobotomy took place sometime in November of 1941. Dr. James W. Watts of George Washington University School of Medicine carried out the procedure with the assistance of Dr. Walter Freeman. It was described in the notes of an observer as follows. Okay, why does that sound so odd? Getting tired. Maybe I do get tired. My brain just started. But I mean, like, it seemed like right from the get-go of the stream, I, like, can't fucking talk. Hey, Dana. Thank you. Yeah, there is a new episode of the podcast out, the Let's Read podcast, where you can listen to all these stories and beautiful remastered sound. It's gorgeous. Multiple lobotomies, that's crazy. At that point, just fucking put a bullet in them. That's so sad. And wait, it's still legal today? What the fuck? I guess maybe just chemically. It was described in the notes of an observer as follows. After Rosemary was mildly sedated, we went through the top of the head, Dr. Watts recalled. I think she was awake. She had a mild tranquilizer. I made a surgical incision into the brain through the skull, near the front. We just made a small incision, no more than an inch, and after that, we placed an instrument inside. The instrument Dr. Watts used looked like a butter knife. He swung it up and down to cut brain tissue. As Dr. Watts cut, Dr. Freeman asked Rosemary to recite the Lord's Prayer, sing God Bless America, or count backwards. We tried to estimate how far to further cut based on how Rosemary responded. Only when Rosemary became incoherent did the doctors cease scrambling her brains. Dr. Watts later stated that, in his opinion, Rosemary wasn't dealing with learning difficulties, but rather a deep form of depression that stifled her development and education. All the patients... Even more badass live. Thank you. I'm trying my best. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best. Oh. Anything cool at all going on, guys? Who on the internet? Nah, I don't even know. Can we be mad at someone again? Oh, wait, we are. Okay. Wait. We gotta find someone that we can rally around and internet bully them. Isn't that what we love? As a huge mob of bloodthirsty vampires, don't we just love to hate and destroy? Is there a single person who underwent lobotomy who got better? I don't even know. I guess maybe they just picked the most extreme cases and thought like, oh, they stop when we take out the brain part. This is the only positive thing in your life right now, stories and fans. Oh, that's good. Well, not good in that sense, but I'm glad you're doing good here. Anyone already joking about Liam's death? Yeah, somebody mentioned something about the One Direction kid fell off of a hotel and died. What the flick? What happened? Google says lobotomies are still legal in some parts of the US, but they're no longer performed. You think they would just go through with it completely? Maybe Yeah, they're no longer performed. Maybe they are performed secretly. I got one, so I can work at Wendy's. Sarah, that's pretty good. Who was Liam? Was he like were these people like still pretty relevant, these One Direction artists or anything? I don't know anything about them. Was at the hospital all weekend, no idea. Oh, okay, no worries. I think someone pushed Liam. Someone thinks he was high and some think he wanted to do it. Yikes. Huh, I don't know. Authorities saying he jumped. Isn't it strange to think that like your death, even as like a mainstream celebrity, is talked about by people for like one day, maybe not even that long, like one evening, your death is like trending on Twitter, and then like the next day nobody gives a fucking shit at all. You know what I mean? Could you imagine like, okay, we'll say 1 month from now, is there like a single person that's, well, no, I'm not gonna say a single, but I mean this respectfully to the fallen, but it's just like, it's so sad. Like your death is like used as a form of like entertainment, and then we just kind of move. Oh wait, shit. That's what I do for my entire career. All right, never mind. Forget what I just said. All the patients, okay, man. All the patients the two doctors lobotomized were diagnosed as having some form of mental disorder. Following the day... Dude, I can't make it through. I really can't. I used to be able to... I'm washed up. I'm a washed up reader. AI, replace me now. They've had enough. I've had a... It's not like a mini stroke, but it's like a it's a microscopic stroke. And it's where your mouth fills up with a bunch of Haktua. Maybe that's what I got. I just got to Haktua my way through this. I fell off. Bro, you fell off in the creepypasta community. I got mothballs in my mouth, but figuratively. All right. All the patients the two doctors lobotomized were diagnosed as having some form of mental disorder. Yet following the analysis of a written review, authored by the two doctors, multiple medical professionals backed their opinion that Rosemary was suffering from some undiagnosed depression and not advancing learning. Oh my god. That's so sad, dude. What mic do I use? The one you're hearing right now is a Neumann, but the one I record into is an H4n Pro. All the patients the two doctors lobotomized were diagnosed as having some form of mental disorder. Yet following the analysis of a written review, authored by the two doctors, multiple medical professionals backed their opinion that Rosemary was suffering from some undiagnosed depression and not advanced learning difficulties. Bertram S. Brown, a former aide to the Kennedys, who also went on to serve as the director of the National Institute of Mental Health under JFK, stated that the push to declare Rosemary mentally disabled instead of mentally ill was intended to protect JFK's reputation during his future runs for presidency. He also added that the lack of support for mental illness is part of a lifelong family denial of what was really so. Yet in lobotomizing Rosemary, her parents had changed her condition from one they could hide into something no one could ignore any longer. Following the procedure, it swiftly became apparent that the lobotomy had severely damaged Rosemary's mental capacity. Her intellect and social skills had been reduced to that of a 2-year-old. She could not walk or talk, and she was severely incontinent. Rosemary was subsequently institutionalized, living first at Craig House, a private psychiatric hospital around an hour and a half's drive north of New York City. She was then relocated to Jefferson, Wisconsin, where she lived for the rest of her life on the grounds of the St. Coletta School for Exceptional Children. The Archbishop of Boston, Richard Cushing, had discussed St. Coletta with Rosemary's father and explained it was an exceptional facility with the capacity to house just over 300 vulnerable young adults. In order to properly inspect the school, Joe Sr. traveled there in person, but was still unhappy with her daughter's prospective living arrangements. Then, instead of allowing Rosemary to live among the school's student body, Joe had a private house built for her about a mile outside St. Coletta's main campus. Situated near Alverno House, which specialized in dealing with adults who needed lifelong care, the nuns began calling the house Kennedy Cottage, after the home's only permanent resident. At Kennedy Cottage, Rosemary was tended to by two nuns, Sister Margaret Ann and Sister Leona, who provided her with round-the-clock care. The cottage was also frequented by a ceramics teacher who attempted to teach Rosemary pottery around 3 times a week. Rosemary also had access to a car and driver, ensuring that she could travel at will, and a dog to ensure that she was never truly alone. Rosemary's parents might have ensured that she was perfectly well looked after and had no material wants or needs, but that lifelong care came at a price, and that price was almost complete severance from the family's affairs. It took 20 years for Rosemary's mother to visit her at the Kennedy Cottage, while her father failed to visit her even once. Author Kate Clifford Larson had stated that Rosemary's parents hid the truth of her condition from the wider family for just over 20 years, and that none of her siblings were ever informed of her true whereabouts. During JFK's 1958 Senate re-election campaign, the Kennedy family explained away Rosemary's absence by claiming she was reclusive and a deeply private person. It was only in 1961, once John had secured the presidency, that the family finally revealed the truth behind Rosemary's condition, but even then, it was only a partial truth. The Kennedys explained that Rosemary was mentally disabled, but only mildly so, and completely neglected to mention that she had been brutally lobotomized at the hands of some of the finest doctors available. Ironically, Rosemary's father, Joe Sr., had a catastrophic stroke not long after the partial truth of his daughter's condition was made public. He too was rendered unable to speak and unable to walk, but unlike Rosemary, his location was shared with the wider family, and he was not denied visitation in his hour of need. Following Joe Sr.'s death in 1969, and without his patriarchy, sorry. Alright, man, I made it pretty far there. That was decent. It was a decent go of it. I lived with my mom the last decade. I wouldn't make it 3. 3 what? Would you rather live in a random person's crawl space for 15 years or in your mom's house for 30 years? I guess the mom's house. I mean, I could figure out how to live life, normal. I mean, it would be very annoying, but living in a crawl space, you'd probably get cancer or some shit, or get bit by a spider. A cancerous spider. Hey, Dylan, no worries, no worries. Big Mama's house, yeah. Oh, Lord, he's so handsome. Hercules, Hercules. Following Joe Sr.'s death in 1969, and without his patriarchal... Am I saying that right? Patriarchal? Patriarchal. Whoops, no, fudge. Copy. Patriarchal. Okay. For some reason it just sounded weird. When you say something too many times, it becomes strange. Mayonnaise. Yours is a patient soul. Yeah, I guess so. Except when it comes to video games. Maybe that's where all my anger manifests. Just boiling inside of me until I play fucking Overwatch. Your mom's house would be a damper on your sex life if you still have one. I was gonna make a joke, but I won't. Following Joe Sr.'s death in 1969, and without his patriarchal influence over the family, the Kennedys began reintroducing Rosemary into their collective affairs. She was taken to visit relatives in Florida and D.C., and was even taken back to one of her childhood homes on Cape Cod. Having love and familial attention in her life proved the best medicine imaginable, and it was during this time that Rosemary went from being an immobile invalid to... When's my next stream? It will be Sunday. Will be the next one. But if I don't have any friends on Saturday, maybe I'll do a gaming stream or something and figure that out. I don't really like to say invalid. I feel like someone's gonna yell at me on the internet and call me a stinker puss. And let's figure. What's another word for invalid? Synonyms. Void. No. Oh wait. Oh, infirm. There we go. Infirm's kind of a. It's like still an old school word, but immobile. No, that doesn't make any sense. It has to be a noun. An immobile. I don't really know. An invalid. I think when it's like a noun, it's called an invalid. Like the person is, which is I don't know. It's almost like an even more sad word for someone like that, because it's just like saying like you are invalid. An immobile. And it was during this time that Rosemary went from being an immobile. I don't fucking know. I'm actually gonna have to ask ChatGPT to figure this out. Or you guys are like ChatGPT. Tell me. What do I say? How do I change this sentence to be so Twitter doesn't yell at me? Invalid. I'm from the Invalid clan. Most of us don't do much. To avoid using potential offensive or outdated language like immobile invalid, you can rephrase the sentence to being more sensitive and inclusive. Here are possible revisions. And it was during this time that Rosemary went from being unable to move independently. Okay, there you go. Unable to move independently. See you guys. Our score is going up. And it was during this time that Rosemary went from being unable to move independently to being able to walk again, albeit with a pronounced limp. Okay. Convalescent? Never heard that one. What's that one? In German you say what? Pflegvoll? Fleischvoll? Pflegervoll? Having love and familial attention in her family life. Fudge. Oh, Jesus Christ. Having love and familial attention in her life proved the best medicine imaginable, and it was during this time that Rosemary went from being unable to move independently to being able to walk again, albeit with a pronounced limp. She never regained the ability to talk, and one of her arms remained permanently palsied. But the quality of life Rosemary enjoyed in her final years was a huge improvement on what she'd experienced before. It wasn't until 1987 that knowledge of Rosemary's lobotomy became fully public. In her book, The Fitzgeralds and the Kennedys, Historian Doris Kearns Goodwin divulged details of several candid conversations she'd conducted with the family, one of which was full and frank. One was with Frank Kennedy. Oh, dude. I should not have done that yoke carry. My fucking lower back doesn't feel great. One of which was a full and frank account of Rosemary's lobotomy. The general public was horrified by what they read, and the fact that it had been kept secret for more than 45 years was something even the most cynical of political insiders found hard to stomach. And by the late 80s, lobotomies had been fully exposed as a cruel and unnecessary treatment that verged on medical malpractice and pseudoscience. So the discovery that a member of American royalty had been subjected to one, especially via such a callous and calculated means... Shit. Discovery... Okay. By the late 80s, lobotomies had been fully exposed as a cruel and unnecessary treatment that verged on medical malpractice and pseudoscience. So the discovery that a member of American royalty had been subjected to one, especially via such a callous and calculated means, was deeply shocking to the American public. Ultimately, on January 7th of 2005, Rosemary Kennedy passed away from natural causes as with... Unfortunately, we now categorize natural causes as being eaten by a werewolf, which is really, really scary. So when you hear that, understand that someone was devoured by a mythical creature. Ultimately, on January 7th of 2005, Rosemary Kennedy passed away from natural causes at... Damn it. I keep wanting to, blend the S and the A. It's like when the British always add an R. Ow, my fucking... Fuck my back. I fucked my back up, dude. God damn it. Gosh dang it. Guys, if you say a series of words in the wrong order, you're gonna piss off Grandpa. Been a fan since 2021. Thank you, dude. Good to see you. So, Fledgefall care case. Okay, interesting. Werewolf is an outdated term. They prefer lycanthropic person. It's like just some beast. Why doesn't anyone like me? It's like rip someone's fucking throat out. That's lycanthropic. Ultimately, on January 7th of 2005, Rosemary Kennedy passed away from natural causes at Dude. I'm gonna turn into a lycanthrob, or whatever it is. Lycanthroat. Ultimately, on January 7th of 2005, Rosemary Kennedy passed away from natural causes at Wisconsin's Fort Attic... Dude. Okay, wait. Davey, are you German? Are you from Germany? If you enjoyed this video, like and throb. You're just a dude, Texas. Damn it, dude. Damn it to hell. I wanted to ask a German question. What was the deal with World War II? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I need help. I need help. I need German help. You're from Germany, Tina? Tina Fey? You can't lie to me, though. If you lie, you're pretty much Hitler too. Electric Boogaloo. Ultimately, on January 7th of 2005, Rosemary Kennedy passed away from natural causes at Wisconsin's Fort Atkinson. Dude, what is wrong with my brain, bro? Natural causes at Wisconsin's Fort Atkinson Memorial Hospital. Fuck. Ultimately, on January 7th of 2005, Rosemary Kennedy passed away from natural causes at Wisconsin's Fort Atkinson Memorial. Why is this a tongue twister? Natural causes at Wisconsin's Fort Atkinson Memorial Hospital. Holy Christ. Need a few more names in there. Wisconsin's Fort Atkinson's Memorial Sons of Anarchy, the Game of Thrones Hospital. Jesus fudge. Okay. How do you even say it actually? Natural causes at Wisconsin's Fort Atkinson Memorial Hospital. Why does that sound strange though? It should be in German. Everything needs to be German now. German's the language you practice the most. Guten Tag. Guten Tag. Scheiß Game Alter. Mann. Oh Mann. Oh the Mann. Do you have to say the hospital name? I have to, dude. We've come so far. Ultimately, on January 7th of 2005, Rosemary Kennedy passed away from natural causes at Wisconsin's Fort Atkinson Memorial Hospital. She was 86 years old. Sisters Jean, Eunice, and Patricia were at her bedside as she passed, along with her younger brother Ted. She was laid to rest beside her parents at Hollyhood. Hollyhood? Holy shit. Hollyhood. That's awesome. Oh, Holyhood. Duh. God damn it. I thought it was like a hood, Hollywood, which I'm all for. Atkinson, yeah, yep. Yepper. Here we go. We're almost there, guys. She was laid to rest beside her parents at Holy... My God. I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk, okay? I'm out of sugar juice in my brain. I had fucking burritos earlier too. Do you think that had something to do with it? Should I blame this on Mexico? She was laid to rest beside her parents at Holyhood Cemetery in Brookline, Massachusetts, excluded in life, but united in death. Some credit her status... Dude, why am I... Like, every particular type of phraseology I'm, like, not prepared for. It's strange. Normally I can, like, fandangle my way through making sense of it as I dry read it, but I just, like, tonight I've been so fucked in the head. Some credit her status and condition with being the inspiration for Eunice Kennedy Shriver to later found the Special Olympics. Some credit her status and condition with being the inspiration for Eunice Kennedy Shriver to later found the Special Olympics, meaning that although her life was characterized by loneliness and familial exile, Rosemary's legacy is one of inclusion and opportunity for the most vulnerable members of our great society. That was my first presidential speech right there. It didn't go great. Didn't go great, folks. It didn't go great. I was very embarrassed, very lobotomized. If you had to live out one episode of the stories you told, which episode would you choose? Probably I would be the driver of the steamroller. Just to like know, just to know what it felt like. Dude, that'd be such a bad president. I'm 34 now, which is kind of embarrassing how stupid I am in regards to like civics knowledge. I mean, I know some stuff, and I got good instincts, and I'm teachable. But man, it's so weird whenever you like see certain like when you see certain like political people on YouTube and shit, and you see how like incredibly intelligent they are. Sometimes by the time they're like fucking, I don't even know, like early to mid 20s or whatever on YouTube. And I guess it just comes down to like conditioning your mind and being familiar with the topics and that kind of thing. And I guess growing up I wasn't like super into it because not a lot of people, it wasn't very culturally relevant. I mean, it was culturally relevant, but it wasn't like in your face the way it is nowadays where everybody's like going out of the way to learn civics. But bleh, I don't know. Sometimes I see like the political pundits now and I'm like, how the fuck do you look so much older than me and are so much fucking more articulate about like any particular topic? But I guess that's just people's minds. And it's interesting too because honestly, sometimes the person that you get at 21, the personality that you have, the intelligence they have, and like not much fucking changes throughout the majority of the next while. You know, it's like if they were funny as fuck when they were 21, they're going to be almost like that identical personality when they're a decade later, or even 20 years later. And I find that fascinating. I mean, obviously there are certain things that can change you, but I think there's just certain innate things in people's personalities and like talents or whatever you want to call them that are just very much their own, and there's no taking that away. People grow old, not up. Yeah, I feel like that's me. I mean, I'm pretty wise in some ways, but I'm pretty fucking childish in so many fucking stupid ways. Did I read? Yeah, I read the last line. I was cringe, I am cringe, I will be cringe. And I cringe on, exactly. You're older than me and still learning. That's good, yeah. I really need, I almost like want to go take classes on like a particular thing and just like really devote myself to that fucking classroom energy where it's almost like you're forced to absorb information on something through a repetitive manner. Because I really feel like in previous classroom format, I feel like I just never fully appreciated what it felt like to continue to learn about something in a specialized way. It's got to be a subject you're obsessed with, though. I really think that I might be obsessed if I got into it with like music in some fashion, just because it's, I see what people can put together in like fucking 30 minutes on Fruity Loops, or what's the other one? All the other DAWs or creation stations. And I'm just like, fuck, that's so cool. That's so freaking cool. I can be like Corp's husband, making music. Alright. Google Docs. I'm gonna read my outro. We're going to get out of here, guys. We're going to go to bed. Everyone's going to bed. Doesn't matter if it's 2 p.m. It's bedtime. Come on. But we're going to read the outro. You guys are going to think of something funny for me to say. Can you imagine if you guys ever actually thought of something funny? Wouldn't that be sick? Isn't it crazy that I'm the only funny one here? Just kidding. You guys are hilarious. Dude, I don't even have the outro. What the fuck's wrong with it? Somebody stole my Google Doc. My Google Dick. I was scrolling through Google Dicks, and this one looked nice. You don't want to what, June? Oh, you're talking to somebody else, sorry. Google, give this guy a lobotomy. Certainly, sir, right away. Jarvis, drill a fucking hole in that guy's head and scrape around with a butter knife. Right away, sir. Alright. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over my... fucking crap. Don't even bother. Don't even bother. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, my pants were always brown. That'd be so funny. Someone's like wearing white pants with like a very clear shit stain, like right there, and they're like, ew, what the fuck is that? Or like they've always been brown. That's the color they came in. There was just brown right around the ass hole area. Shut up. All right, guys. Thank you guys for chilling with me. It's another 4-hour stream in the Bookie Wooks and the Akashic Records, kept for all time. If you later tonight happen to sort of astral project, you can go back and watch the stream that way, or you can click on the stream's playlist and just do it normally, but it's up to you. And I will go ahead and get this audio up and edited over on Patreon first thing. It's only $1 a month, or like $10.82 for a year over there, which is a pretty good deal. And then there's new content on the bonus content, both on Patreon, $5 tier, and over here, if you want to check that out. Oh yeah, fuck, I forgot. I like when I made the mistakes and shit, I totes my goats. Forgot to give you guys a little bit of a gift. It's my dick in a box. There you go. Oh, dude, Pradeep's so cute, man. Holy shit. Just laying over there on his side. Like, what cat lays on their side like a dog? He's so funny. Hey, Let's Read. Thank you for the 10 gifters too. Ghost Lee, Z King, Christian Shell, Miss Mamas, Gray, Maria Starro, what is it? Maria, oh, Maria's Tarot Journey. Oh, good luck. Casper Friendly, and Jordan Bruner, and Chrissy, and some Chinese letters. All right. Guys, thanks so much for hanging. Go check out the bonus content if you haven't already. You can binge that before your gifted sub runs out. Love you. Appreciate you. Like I said, I'll be back. I will be back probably Sunday night, probably late, like a degenerate. Maybe I'll be early. Who knows? But otherwise, if I'm going to keep you updated on when I go live again, hit that notification bell or follow me on Instagram, letsread.official. And this video will be out tomorrow. Same time, same place. Brooklyn Gonzalez, thank you for 41 months. GN, y'all. GN. Thank you. Smooches and kisses, friends. Until we meet again.